You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 2749, Chapter 2749, Chapter 584 is back. 6. Chapter 2749, Chapter 584 is back. 6. Xingyue's face was cold and she did not say a word. Shame. Shame. Forget about he too. At this moment, Suyu also clicked his tongue. This made Xingyue extremely angry. She said coldly, Suyu, what are you doing? Suyu laughed dryly and said, No, I'm saying that Lord's territory is really beautiful. I'm sick of looking at the other damn places. Lord's place is still beautiful. There are actually so many flowers and plants. Lord liked to plant flowers and plants when he was alive. Xingyu ignored him. At this moment, a quasi-invincible necromancer quickly flew through the air and said loudly, This general greets the monarch. No need for formalities. The necromancer quickly stood up and looked at Suyu and the others with a puzzled expression. Suyu seemed to be familiar with him. After looking at him for a while, he suddenly smiled and said, This old man, did you go to the ancient city of Xinghong in the past and beat Suyu once? That time with the dark demon dragon. The undead was a little dazed as he said in a daze, reporting to my lord. It seems like. Bang! Suyu patted his head and kneaded it. His large hands were like iron pincers as he gripped his head. He smiled and said, Forget it, I won't bother with you. We're all on the same side. In the future, in this territory, Lord Xingyue is the ruler. I am your commander, understand? The quasi-invincible undead stared blankly at Suyu. So powerful. More importantly, who are you? Why did the Lord bring so many undead lords with him when he went out? They were all so powerful. So powerful that they were terrifying. Suyu smiled and said, What are you waiting for? I'm Suyu. In the future, I'll be the commander-in-chief of this territory. You must report everything to me. I'll report to the Lord again. Don't disturb the Lord if there's nothing. At this moment, in the territory, including this one, a total of 8 quasi-invincible undead lords soared into the air and looked at Xingyu. Xingyu could not be bothered with them. With a cold face, she stepped on the air and flew towards the castle. Behind her, Suyu was like grabbing a chicken. His large hand covered the sky and earth and instantly grabbed the 8 lifeless undead. He smiled and said, Did you hear that? Do you still need Sir to speak? Now, send someone to Xinghong Passage to check out the situation. I will come and teach you guys when I have time. Don't just stand there. Seeing that Xingyue was silent, the few quasi-invincible generals were stunned for a moment before kneeling down one after another. Greetings, Commander. No need for formalities. Suyu had a smile on his face. It was not bad for him to become an official. He casually threw a quasi-invincible spirit out. I'll take you. From now on, your name will be Xingda. Go to the tunnel and see if there are any abnormalities. I'll go and chat with Sir in the castle. Yes, my lord. The powerful quasi-invincible spirit subconsciously replied. After Suyu left, he looked at the other quasi-invincible spirits with a blank face and said, Commander. Suyu. Is he dead? Dead? Transformed by his lord? So powerful. No wonder his lord had been staring at the passage for the past few days and refused to leave even if he died. This time, he suddenly ran away. It turned out that he was going to transform Suyu. Suyu's speed of improvement was a little terrifying. They had also been to the ancient city of Hongmeng, so they naturally knew that not long ago, Suyu couldn't even kill the sun and moon. In the blink of an eye, the 8 quasi-unrivaled experts were actually easily suppressed by him. Was he that strong? After the shock, there was excitement. His Excellency has brought back the commander. I saw His Excellency he too from Hongmeng City and another powerful lord. Could it be, that we are going to attack the ancient city of Hongmeng? In his excitement, the expert who received the order shouted, "Follow me to the living creature's passage." In an instant, hundreds of undead gathered. They all had the power of the sun and the moon. They quickly followed the general and flew toward the distant tunnel of Xinghong. We're going to attack the living creature's realm. The invincible Sir actually opened his eyes this time. He didn't attack alone anymore. Instead, he called his friends and brought many experts. They also had an extremely powerful commander. At this moment, those conscious undead were all extremely excited. At the same time, Lu Hong was also preparing to leave. Tomorrow, he would have to seal off the Starry Sky Manor. Su Yu was about to come out. I've done my best and helped you put on an act until today. However, if you don't leave now, I'm afraid it'll be too late. Goodbye, kid. Lu Hong smiled in his heart. Very quickly, he stepped into the rear hall. He said respectfully, "Sir, the outside world is watching us like a tiger watching its prey. I hope you can go out of the city and circle around the city to intimidate them. You don't need to make a move. Just go to the ancient city of Heaven Destruction and take a look. Let everyone think that you and Sir Heaven Destruction are discussing how to deal with them. Tomorrow, Su will come out. If we don't intimidate the others now, I'm worried that we'll get into trouble." Xing Hong thought for a moment. He said slowly, "Then I'll go and take a look. Don't run around, don't move around, and don't walk into the undead passageway. I feel that something is wrong. Just now, there was a strong aura of death down there. I'm afraid that an undead expert will pass by. Don't blame me for not warning you." Xing Hong still gave a warning. Don't run around. He really felt a strong aura of death just now. It seemed that there was more than one undead sovereign coming. Xing Yue had run around. Could it be that she had gone to seduce the undead sovereign? That was strange. It had been so many years, but Xing Yue did not have such a hobby. Xing Hong was a little surprised, but he did not mind. The undead could not come up. In addition, he had someone to help him bear the death aura, so the pressure was not that great. It was useless to have another sovereign, because the tunnel could only support one undead sovereign coming in and out. This was not Hongmeng City. Xing Hong did not say anything more. In an instant, he disappeared from where he was and flew toward the destruction of the city. He did not conceal his whereabouts, nor did he deliberately reveal it. However, it attracted the attention of countless people. Xing Hong came out again. Was Su Yu in Xing Yu's mansion? What was going on? If he was, why was Xing Hong always able to move freely? What the hell? Lu Hong laughed when Xing Hong left. A strong aura of death. Who was he trying to scare? Xing Yu had already left, so the other undead did not have much consciousness and would not deliberately guard the passage. Did they think that I did not know? Xing Hong, this ancient powerhouse, actually used such a childlike method to scare me. Lu Hong took a deep breath. These days, he could be considered to have put on a good show. In the mansion, Old Master Bai and Elder Wang did not reject him so much. It also gave him the opportunity to enter the back hall alone. Very good. That was the effect he wanted. He gritted his teeth and suddenly flew towards the vortex-shaped passageway. Gritting his teeth, he chuckled. Su Yu, thank you very much. I'll work for you. You open a safe passageway for me. No one owes anyone anything. At this moment, Xing Hong suddenly turned his head. He was not in a hurry. Instead, he frowned. Idiot, there really is a necromancer lord. There's more than one. I can even sense the aura of a certain kid. You really jumped in. Idiot. Do you think I'm lying to you? I'm an ancient general. Why would I need to lie to a weak Ling Yun like you? You're courting death. I can't be bothered with you. Seeing that you're obedient, I even reminded you. You're better off sending yourself to your death. Even if you don't die, you might still run into Su Yu. Speaking of which, why did that kid, Su Yu, come back from the world of the dead? Even Xing Hong was shocked. He and Su Yu were also in contact. Su Yu's sudden appearance, he did sense something. At this moment, he couldn't be bothered to care anymore. He was a fool. P.S. I'm begging for a monthly ticket, cheers 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 cheers. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 2750, Chapter 2750, Chapter 585 shocked me. L. Chapter 2750, Chapter 585 shocked me. L. The world of the dead. Within the ancient fortress, this fortress was indeed ancient. The stars and moon had been reviving for many years, and they hadn't done anything serious. All they had done was to build her territory. The moment Su Yu entered, he was a little shocked. Not to mention, this ancient fortress had everything, and the construction was quite exquisite. Was this made by the stars and moon themselves? There were tables, chairs, benches, and so on. Other than that, there were also some dead gray flowers and plants around, which looked quite ugly. However, in this damned place, having such thoughts, could be considered a unique one. And there were also dead souls in the castle. Could it be a woman? A maid with some consciousness, for the time being, she could be considered as one. When she saw Xing Yu and the others enter, her attitude was respectful, but she was a bit stiff. She bowed and said, "My lord, would you like to eat?" Xing Yue waved her hand and sent the maid away. Behind her, he too burst out laughing. Xing Yue was very angry. She turned her head to look at he too with a cold gaze. He too was still laughing. No, he couldn't hold it in. He had been to Xing Yue's territory, but he had never been to the ancient castle. This was his first time here, and when he saw that Xing Yue was showing signs of anger, he immediately smiled and said, "Don't misunderstand. I'm just lamenting that my lord Xing Yue has preserved some of his humanity even after turning into a dead spirit. It's rare." He didn't tease him anymore and said seriously, "Dead spirits are originally heartless. It doesn't matter if you laugh or laugh. It's just a show. A show. Heartless. Whether you laugh or cry, the most direct emotion was only anger and killing intent." Star Moon had been dead for many years and had been revived for many years. He had regained some of his human nature. He too was a little surprised. He was also a little surprised, but he was different from Star Moon. He had transformed his body and didn't walk into the dead spirit heavenly river, he had directly transformed into a dead soul. He actually had more things than the other dead souls, such as a slightly higher IQ. Xing Yue ignored him. Whether it was a scene or a dream, she just did not want to be like the other dead souls, muddle-headed. Recently, her mind had become clearer. The memories in her mind had also gradually increased. She was less angry and more human. Xing Yue felt that there was no need to say anything to this arrogant he too. Su Yu, who was listening by the side, did not say anything. He found a place to sit down. When he saw Xing Yue looking at him, he smiled and said, "Sir, please take a seat. We can sit anywhere." Xing Yue glanced at him with a faint look in her eyes. "Su Yu, this is my territory." "Understood." Su Yu followed the good advice and stood up from his seat. He bowed and said, "Sir, may I have a seat?" Speechless. He too was also speechless. This shameless look of yours really resembled. "All right, I still have some face." "You're really shameless." Xing Yu was also rendered speechless. She said coldly, "Have a seat." "Thank you, sir." Su Yu was polite for a moment. He cupped his hands and waved his long robe. It fluttered in the wind before he sat down. A teacup appeared in his hand. He picked up the teacup with his right hand and took a few sips before drinking the tea. Yes, he brought tea. As a cultured person, he did not bring tea when he went out. That did not suit his temperament. He just did not have the time to use it before. Xing Yu was tired and walked to the center of the hall. That was her seat. He too smiled and sat down opposite Su Yu. He stood there in a daze. Su Yu took a sip of tea and said, "We are already at the place. I am not that anxious anymore. I came back early this time to let the world know that Su Yu, am not someone that they can kill just because they want to." He too said faintly, "The rafters that stick out will rot first." Su Yu, don't tell me you think that Old Turtle and the others are really invincible. Don't tell me they really think that the various races can't deal with Old Turtle and the others. It's just a matter of the price. Putting everything else aside, just now, the immortal race has come out in full force. Old Turtle and the others are all going to die. Do you believe that? Su Yu nodded and smiled. I'll understand that. Sir, what you mean is that if I stand out now, I might attract the attention of some people. Some old fogies might even appear to kill me. It's good that you understand. He too smiled. My idea is that you lay low and hide. Since you've come back early this time, then continue to pretend that you haven't left the city. Let the humans become the target of public criticism and deny that you've been to the Starry Manor. You've already killed everything that you know, so you don't dare to say the rest. Even if you say it, no one will believe you. Yes, right now, either Su Yu stands out to attract fire, or the humans stand out to attract fire. Give Su Yu enough time to develop. In front, Xing Yue also said coldly, "Don't think that the dead soul world is your last safe place. It's not that simple. If you're really dead, then you're not you. If you're not dead, do you think that you can stay in the dead soul world forever?" Both of them were trying to persuade Su Yu not to stick his head out. This time, he had to keep a low profile. He had been pretending to be in the city the whole time. If anyone said that he had gone out, he could deny it, and have no evidence. Su Yu was in the city. Su Yu smiled and took another sip of tea. He pondered for a while and said, "Then, do you think that the human race can withstand it?" He too said calmly, "There are only a few casualties and some hibernating for a few years. I think that the great change of the tide has not arrived yet. There is still time. There are dozens of eternal human beings, and more than 20 of them have died. The various races feel that the speed of the rise of the human race is not that fast anymore. Naturally, they will give up on exterminating all of them to prevent the human race from fighting to the death." You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 2751, Chapter 2751, Chapter 585 Shocked Me, 2. Chapter 2751, Chapter 585 Shocked Me, 2. Su Yu drank his tea, not saying a word. He too laughed, as expected. Living people are living people. They can't be like us. I'm different from you. I've reached this stage. Even if all the humans died in front of me, one could at most sigh a few times and sigh a few times. I was also a human before one died. But to say that I'm angry, sad, and unwilling. It's gone. He sighed. It was gone. Previously, the great Qin king had almost been killed. He only felt that it was a pity. He didn't feel anything else. I'm also a human. However, that was the last river map, and not me. Su Yu also smiled, "Sir, you're right. Maybe humans are still alive. There are many things that cannot be avoided. For example, I was born in the southern Yuan. I can say that the southern Yuan is truly trash. The southern Yuan is too small, too weak, too cowardly, too poor, and too bitter. But if an outsider were to say it, I would feel that you don't have the right. Suyu lightly smiled and said, if you were to humiliate the southern Yuan people and kill them, I would teach him how to be a person. Therefore, people have double standards. There are some things that you don't seem to care about, but at critical moments, you still care a little. Suyu let out a breath. This time, if one don't stand out, the great Qin King and the others will be the first to bear the brunt and become the target of the 10,000 races. Who asked the human race to live too much? To live too much is a sin. Strictly speaking, this matter was done by myself. I killed too many people. If I don't interfere, it's not impossible. But if the great Qin King and the others are killed, one still feels somewhat guilty. He too laughed. You care too much about these things. The way of the king is merciless. Is being merciless the way of the king? Suyu laughed. If heartless is the way of the king, then there would be countless kings in the dead soul world. He was speechless. Above, Xinyue looked at Suyu and said in a low voice, so you must take action. Suyu nodded and smiled, but I'm worried. At this point, Suyu was silent for a while. I'm also worried that the guards are unwilling to stand up for me. Up until now, it's only a combination of interests. How much affection can there be? I'm not afraid to be blunt. I hope that the two of you can help me. If the guards are willing to stand up for me, the two of you can try your best to control the undead area nearby and not put too much pressure on the ancient city. But, if you're unwilling. Suyu was silent. Then gather your strength and attack the ancient city. Create pressure and force them to realize the importance of me, Suyu. Yes, he had to increase his importance. The ancient city could not be separated from me, Suyu. And this required the cooperation of the undead sovereign. He too looked at him and smiled. What a good plan. There's not much of a problem. I'm familiar with almost all the undead sovereign in the nearby areas. It won't be difficult for them to attack the undead passageway together and maintain their deterrence. Suyu nodded. He then said, also, I've thought about it. It would be best if we don't involve the ancient city. However, the ancient city also needs absolute deterrence. So, in the next few days, can the two of you please hold a meeting or something? What? He too was slightly startled. What did he mean? Suyu smiled and said, isn't the head of the Xiachen manor here? The two of you will host a meeting and invite the surrounding lords to come here. Eat and drink for a few days. He too couldn't help but laugh. That's impossible. The undead don't care about these things. Suyu smiled and said, if eating and drinking isn't enough, then let's do something else. For example, since Principal Xia Chen has been revived, he should have some territory, right? Let's discuss how to carve out a piece of territory for Senior Xia Chen. Of course, there's a high probability that he won't agree, but we can have a meeting and discuss it peacefully. Otherwise, wouldn't it be very hurtful to start a war directly? He too understood what he meant. Are you thinking that when we go back this time, we'll take over the positions of the city lords and help them bear the aura of death? We're worried that with the monarch around, the aura of death will be too dense, so you want us to lure them away for a few days. At the crucial moment, we can even take action against the 36 city guards. Suyu nodded. That was how wild he was. If I don't take action, I'll take action. I want to liberate all 36 ancient cities. Then normally. If I'm fine, all the guards will stay where they are. One won't be under much pressure. At the critical moment, I'll just have to make a move. He too took a deep breath. This fellow was so ambitious. He wanted to release all 36 guards. But those fellows might not be willing to make a move for you. He too warned, you have to know that not all 36 guardians like humans. One no. Suyu nodded, but since I've freed them, they have to give me some benefits, don't they? Above, Xingyu said coldly, since you're worried about the pressure, I think it's better to lure them out one by one and kill them all. Suyu smiled and said, Sir, you've been working for the undead for many years. It seems like you don't know the situation as well as I do. The rules. Don't allow it. If nothing goes wrong, I've killed one. Very soon, there will be a second one to fill it up, perhaps even stronger. One thinks Sir he too probably understands this point. If not for that, wouldn't the 36 guards be able to kill all of you? Xingyue was stunned. Was that so? He too was also speechless as he looked at Xingyue. After a long while, he said, there are few battles on your side, and you rarely go out. You probably don't know that many of the monarchs under the ancient city have changed. Some have been killed, and some have left on their own. However, if you leave one, a second one will come soon. It won't be cut off. As long as the passageway is there, if you kill one, another one will come. Xingyue, You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 2752, Chapter 2752, Chapter 585 shocked me. 3. Chapter 2752, Chapter 585 shocked me. 3. How did you survive until now? He too was convinced. Even Suyu knew about it. He could guess that you, Xingyu, knew nothing about it. Xingyu felt humiliated. She glared at him angrily. Soon, she snorted coldly and no longer expressed her opinions. I don't want to bother with you. Is it so great to have brains? Isn't one of them dead, and the other can only use schemes and tricks? I despise you. Suyu smiled, he continued, so we should continue with the meeting. Lord He too should be able to help me complete this mission. At Lord He too's side, most people probably wouldn't dare to go, so they came to Lord Xingyu's side. I think that the nearby monarchs shouldn't be so afraid of Lord Xingyu. It was mainly because he was a shut-in. If you've been a shut-in for too long, the kings of the undead wouldn't be afraid of you. As expected, Star Moon nodded and said, I can invite them over, but if they come, what should we do? Didn't I say that? Boolsh *T. Since a group of kings had come, they could just casually talk about it. The time of the undead wasn't worth much. 10 days to half a month, or even 3 to 5 months, or 3 to 5 years. Would these undead care about this little bit of time? It was not a big deal. Suyu smiled and said, if it doesn't work, there are many excuses. For example, where they found the blood of death or the fruit of life and death, and they need everyone to help them. If it really doesn't work, they can even tell them that they found a safe way out through the teleportation channel. If they don't believe me, let them ask around. If it really doesn't work, go over there and call Tuofa and the others to testify. Tuofa and the others have to follow the rules when they enter the Starry Manor through the undead passageway. They want to be teleported in as well. If we really can't do it, we'll bring them there and let everyone guard it for 10 years. Or we can simply say that we'll be able to teleport in once we gather 360 monarchs. There were too many reasons. Undead were very easy to deceive. At this moment, Xingyue's face was cold, but she was deep in thought. So many tricks to deceive people. I'll remember it. He too also silently remembered that this person wasn't as good as a living person after he died. There were some tricks that he hadn't considered before. Not to mention, gathering 360 monarchs, teleporting into the Starry Palace, killing his way out of the Starry Palace, and killing his way into the living realm. This slogan wasn't bad. He too felt that he could use it as a reference. This was a real thing, it was not a lie, it was not a lie. If he could really activate the teleportation, he could indeed teleport 360 monarchs. He too quickly smiled and said, "All right, since you've already said so, and you've already found a reason, then I can help you. This fellow, you probably don't only have this idea. You probably still have the intention to open the passage at a critical moment and let us go out to help you, right?" Suyu nodded, "That's right. And you're going to act like you don't know me. The two of you don't know me, so I don't know you. The two of you can just bring the undead sovereign out and go around killing people. At the critical moment, when I send everyone back, the two of you, do me a favor. Don't let the undead sovereign run around. If we let them out, we won't be able to find them. Then I'll be in trouble." Xingyue sneered and said. Living people are indeed shameless and hypocritical. They really had to use all kinds of tricks. They had already pretended not to know each other once, and they still had to do it again. Suyu smiled and said, "My lord, this is also to serve you better. Otherwise, if I really die, wouldn't my lord lose such an outstanding subordinate like me?" Xingyue sneered. "Do you think I will still believe you? Subordinate? Are you considered a subordinate?" He too did not care about these things. He smiled and said, "All right, I don't have any other requests. There are only 2 points. First, when I can be resurrected, I want to be resurrected. Second, on the old turtle's side, you should go around more when you have nothing to do and trick him away so that I can go out and get some fresh air openly." With the old turtle around, he could not go out at all. Not to mention how miserable it was. The key was that there were people in other ancient cities. After killing Sun Yu or quasi-invincible, Xing Yu and the others could still go out. There was not even a trace of a ghost in Hongmeng City. He too had not gone out from there for countless years. He was the one who was going crazy from holding back. If you really can't go out, you can just kill a few quasi-invincible people in Hongmeng Ancient City. If you go out, you can stay for at least 3 days. It's good to take a breath. That's not difficult. Suyu smiled and said, "If you want to go out, I have dozens of quasi-undefeatable people. If you kill one in 3 days, I'll call you to come up for a gathering." Xingyue suddenly looked at Suyu and said coldly, "I want one too." That's right, this method was not bad. Suyu smiled and said, "Don't. Lord Xingyue should not use such a method. Lord He too is an outsider. If you can't complete the mission, you can simply punish him. I don't care if Lord He too can bear the punishment according to the rules, but if Lord Xingyue can't complete the mission one after another and dies, then I'll be too sad." "Is that so?" Xingyue fell into deep thought. That seemed to be the case too. Beside her, he too was smiling as he transmitted his voice to Suyu, "You can even fool a dead person. You really have some of my style from back then. I don't dare, I don't dare. My lord is the best." The two of them looked at each other and smiled. Suyu stood up and said, "That's basically it. I'll go back now. I won't stay here for long. I hope that Lord He too can help me with the specific plan. Lord Xingyue might not have the time." The main reason was that he was afraid that Suyu would mess up. Suyu did not say anything, but Xingyue did not care. He too quickly understood. As expected, only smart people could talk together. Xingyue only snorted coldly and did not know anything else. There was no need to bother about her. Suyu stood up and was about to leave. It was almost time. According to the time, those people would be able to teleport back tomorrow. He still needed to leave some time to inherit the position of city lord of the other 32 cities. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 2753, Chapter 2753, Chapter 585 shocked me. 4. Chapter 2753, Chapter 585 shocked me. 4. As for the current city lord, he had to be controlled. Let Xing Hong and the other guards handle it themselves. At the very least, he couldn't leak the news of his appearance now. At the same time Su Yu and the others were discussing. Lu Hong jumped down. Very happy, very excited. I'm finally down. It's safe. There's no undead sovereign, no one. It's so comfortable. It's much better than I expected, especially after the departure of Xing Yu. He flew all the way down the tunnel, flying. Then he turned around and ran toward the exit of the tunnel. Holy shit. What the hell? He saw countless undead heads suddenly appear at the bottom of the tunnel. What kind of joke is this? Why aren't they invincible undead? Why are they on their own mission and still guarding the entrance of the tunnel? What the hell? At the back, the quasi-invincible undead was suddenly overjoyed. Chase! There's an invasion. The Commander-in-Chief has just been appointed. Catch a creature and show the Commander-in-Chief what we can do. Although the undead behind him were a little silly, it didn't matter. He didn't care. The Commander-in-Chief had just been appointed, and the first mission he had been given was immediately successful. This made Xing De very happy. He had killed the Commander-in-Chief before. Behind him, a quasi-invincible undead spirit with hundreds of suns and moons was swiftly chasing after him. In this passageway, the moment an invincible spirit entered, it would be saturated. If it wasn't invincible, it didn't matter. A group of people swiftly flew towards Lu Hong. They could capture or kill him. In front. Lu Hong's face was purple. How could it be? He even took the initiative to attack. Damn, didn't the undead have no intelligence? It was over. He tried his best to fly upwards, but in this damned place, the pressure was very strong. He used all his strength, but the people behind him continued to chase, and they were getting closer and closer. Lu Hong gritted his teeth and quickly turned his head. A token appeared in his hand and he shouted, "How dare you! 1 a.m. an envoy under the king of 1. I am of the two worlds of life and death. Those who see me, retreat." The token shot out a beam of light. The dead spirits that were chasing after him were all stunned. The unconscious dead spirits instantly knelt down and kowtowed. The conscious, quasi-invincible dead spirits struggled for a moment. Their eyes gradually revealed a look of deference. They lowered their heads slightly. Although they did not kneel down, they were no longer as arrogant as before. Lu Hong panted heavily. He was overjoyed. It was really useful. He was almost done for. It was too dangerous. As expected, the undead realm was still within the control of the ancient era. King Wen's order could also work here. Fortunately. Lu Hong let out a sigh of relief. Fortunately, it was not the monarch of the undead. The monarch level had a higher IQ. Some of them might have been killed by King Wen. Why would they care about your token or not? On the other hand, these quasi-invincible undead were not that smart. He did not have that much thought. Lu Hong carefully walked toward the exit of the passage and bypassed the crawling undead. When he bypassed them, the undead behind him still did not move. This made Lu Hong overjoyed. Not bad. One was scared to death. At this moment, a few more undead appeared in front of him. Lu Hong used the same trick again. He took out his token and shouted, "Bold undead, I am the messenger of King Wen. Life and death, those who see it, retreat." In front of him, for shadows did not stop and continued to move forward. Su Yu's cloak turned white, black and white, looking extremely strange. But Lu Hong's expression changed drastically. What a strong aura of death. 4. Don't tell me, these are undead monarchs. He had spoken to Xing Yu before, but he had never seen them before. At this moment, he was extremely shocked. there couldn't be 4 monarchs. Very quickly, the other 3 stopped at the entrance of the passageway. They didn't enter. This made Lu Hong heave a sigh of relief. Did this mean that the token was still useful? The main reason was that the passageway couldn't support multiple invincible individuals to enter. As for Su Yu, he looked at this fellow in front of him with a strange expression. He slowly stopped in his tracks, a little surprised and a little shocked. King Wen's order. King Wen's envoy. Lu Hong. What kind of joke was this? He was King Wen's emissary. King Wen was a top-notch expert from ancient times. Lu Hong was just a Ling Yun. How was that possible? Or could it be that this token was fake and was picked up? However, those dead souls were indeed greatly affected. Even Su Yu was slightly affected. When he saw the token, a voice seemed to appear in his mind. King Wen's token, all clans retreat. In his mind, someone seemed to be telling him to retreat quickly. Otherwise, he would be in big trouble. Lu Hong actually had such a treasure. Su Yu was stunned. That token, was it really King Wen's token? As for Lu Hong, when he saw this white-cloaked dead soul stop, he let out a sigh of relief again. He was scared to death. Damn, was this a quasi-invincible dead soul? So were the other 3. It felt so powerful. After all, he was just Ling Yun, and it was a little difficult for him to differentiate between quasi-invincible and invincible. In his eyes, they were both invincible existences. He carefully took a detour and prepared to leave from Su Yu's side. He was scared to death and kept his distance from this fellow. Just as he was thinking, a hand gently placed on his shoulder. Lu Hong shrieked and quickly raised the token. King Wen's token, life and death can be avoided. Do you dare to disobey? His voice was sharp. As for Su Yu, he dug his ear with one hand and grabbed the token with the other. The moment the token was grabbed, a ray of light burst out. It seemed to be very dissatisfied with the person who disobeyed and wanted to punish him. However, as soon as the ray of light appeared, it was swallowed by Su Yu. Along the way, when Tombstone shook in his mind, it scattered all the rays of. Su Yu grabbed the token in his hand, and Lu Hong was completely stunned. He was scared silly. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 2754, Chapter 2754, Chapter 585 shocked me. Asks for a subscription, 5. Chapter 2754, Chapter 585 shocked me. Asks for a subscription, 5. I am finished. I died before I could succeed. This token, is it useless? At the back, once the token was in Su Yu's hands, Xingde and the others returned to normal. At this moment, when they saw Su Yu, Xingde and the other undead, they knelt down one after another. Xingde immediately shouted, "Greetings, Commander. There's no need for formalities." Su Yu said nonchalantly and kept the token. He looked at Lu Hong and said with a smile, "Lu Laosher, you sure have guts." Lu Hong was still in a state of shock just a moment ago. At this moment, upon hearing those words, he suddenly became even more horrified. No. Impossible. The heck? Su Yu. Impossible. This is impossible. How could he be in the death spirit realm in the Xingyu residence? It's even more impossible for him to be here, and it's even more impossible for him to become the great commander. In the next moment, he heard an even more terrifying voice. It was Star Moon's voice. He had heard it before. Outside the tunnel, Star Moon said coldly, "Interesting, it really seems to be King Wen's Ling, but his level isn't high." With that, Star Moon asked, "He too, did you sense it just now?" He 111. Terrifying. Lu Hong was almost stupefied. He too, who the entire world was shouting about wanting to kill, was here. Star Moon, he too, Su Yu. There was also an extremely powerful existence. What? What was going on? He too smiled. It does seem to be King Wen's Ling interesting. Is this person a descendant of King Wen? Or is he a descendant of King Wen? An ordinary person wouldn't be able to use King Wen's Ling interesting, very interesting. Su Yu, do you know this person? Su Yu smiled. I do, my dear teacher. He once taught me many things, such as swindling and swindling. At this moment, Lu Hong was completely stunned and scared silly. Holy shit. Where the hell am I? Is this the dead spirit world? This can't be. Su Yu didn't say anything here. He even brought a few dead spirit monarchs to wander around. He had gone mad. He suppressed his fear and asked, Su Yu, you're dead. Teacher Lu is dead. I probably won't die. Su Yu smiled faintly and grabbed his shoulder. He said with a sigh, Teacher Lu, I admire you very much. Tell me, what are you doing in the dead spirit realm? Where did this King Wen token come from? Also, I said that I'll let you go when I come back. Why is teacher in such a hurry to leave? Is he not giving face to me, Su Yu, or is he disrespecting my hospitality? Lu Hong was on the verge of tears. You're not dead. If you're not dead, then what the hell is this? You actually hooked up with the sovereign of the dead spirit. This is too terrifying. You came back from the dead spirit realm. Oh my god. Lu Hong was completely stunned. Su Yu ran amok in the dead spirit realm, so he might have come over from the Starry Manor. He heard that there was also a passageway there. In that case. This fellow is too terrifying. How did he do it? Lu Hong's face was dull, and his eyes were filled with despair and helplessness. My entire life, I had fallen at the hands of this kid. It was too miserable. Lu Hong had endless despair as he said pitifully, "L didn't mean that. I just came to see what the dead soul's realm looks like." Su Yu smiled faintly and said, "You want to see? Isn't that simple? It just so happens that Lord Xingyue and the others are going to hold a banquet for the nearby monarchs. Coincidentally, Teacher Lu is here. He has invited dozens of monarchs in the vicinity. There are very few strangers in the world of the dead. Lord Xingyue, Teacher Lu will be the main dish. A monarch of the dead will have a taste. It's too difficult to eat alive in the world of the dead. I'll give everyone a taste." Su Yu said indifferently, "This is King Wen's man. Eating him will be very satisfying." Lu Hong said in fear, Don't. Su Yu, there's no enmity between us. When you were weak, I even helped you. Look, you've been gone for so long and I even helped you disguise yourself. Now, no one is sure whether you've left or not. I only left on the last day. Su Yu, I'm taking countless risks. Otherwise, I would have left long ago and you wouldn't have met me, right?" Su Yu looked at him deeply. "All right then. In the dead soul world, there are fewer living people. Teacher, come back with me. Stay in the city lord's residence for a few days first. Lord Xingyue, send someone to guard the passageway. Then, he'll come down and kill him." Xingyue said coldly, "I'll guard it personally. Then I'll have to trouble you, my lord." Su Yu didn't say much. He grabbed Lu Hong and walked into the distance. In front of him, the star-great undead retreated one after another, each of them extremely respectful. This was the great commander of our Star Moon country. A big shot. Very strong. It was easy for him to defeat 8 quasi-invincible ones by himself. As for Lu Hong, he was filled with despair and helplessness. I am really unlucky. How did I meet Su Yu? When I met other monarchs, I could still say a few words and trick them into using King Wenzling as a magic treasure, but when I met Su Yu, it was all useless. Su Yu was even more shrewd than him. Su Yu wouldn't believe a word he said. The point was, my King Wen token. I want to cry. Lu Hong kept looking into Su Yu's arms. Can I still get my King Wen token back? I'm so miserable. As for Su Yu, the aura of death faded as he walked. Gradually, the snow-white-robed Su Yu returned, looking more ethereal than before. A moment later, Su Yu stepped out of the passageway with a smile on his face. In front of him, there was an additional person. Xing Hong looked at Su Yu and said with a sigh, "You are really omnipotent." He could return just like that. And it was very smooth. In other words, Xing Yue was taken care of by you. That was really something. Su Yu smiled and said, "Sir, you flatter me. It's just a small matter." A small matter? Xing Hong was speechless. Was this still considered a small matter? It has become much stronger. Xing Hong looked at him again and sighed. When I see you, I feel that all our years of living have been in vain. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 2755, Chapter 2755, Chapter 585 gave me a shock. Asks for a subscription, 6. Chapter 2755, Chapter 585 gave me a shock. Asks for a subscription, 6. As he spoke, he looked at Lu Hong and said calmly, "El told you that the aura of death is strong below, but you still don't believe me." Lu Hong wanted to cry but had no tears. "I believe it now, is there still time?" Su Yu casually threw him aside and said with a smile, "Sir, this is a big shot, he might even be a descendant of King Wen." "That's impossible." Xing Hong shook his head. "King Wen doesn't have any descendants. The inheritance seems to be there, but it seems to have been cut off. It's impossible for him to be a descendant." Lu Hong hurriedly said, "I'm not. I was just lucky and picked up a token." "Su Yu, I'll give that to you." L. Su Yu couldn't be bothered to say more. He waved his hand and Lu Hong was instantly sealed. "Teacher, please think about it carefully. After I'm done with my work, I hope that you can say a few words of sincerity to me. As for lying, teacher, if you think that you can hide it from me, feel free to lie." Su Yu said calmly, "I'll give teacher time to fabricate a lie. It has to be true. Don't leave any loopholes. Otherwise, I think that teacher will be a big dish at the sovereign banquet." Sovereign banquet? Xing Hong did not care about anything else. Instead, he looked at Su Yu strangely. "What sovereign banquet?" Su Yu smiled and said, "I'll have Xing Yue hold a sovereign banquet in the ancient castle below." "Sir, what do you think?" Xing Hong's expression instantly changed. He looked at Su Yu. After a long while, he gritted his teeth and said, "Go to Heaven Destruction City. Don't come to me. Damn it. Do you want my old life? What a joke. Go to Heaven's Destruction City and bring disaster to Heaven's Destruction City. Don't bring disaster to me." Heaven's destruction was full of energy. He had the time to fight with these dead souls, but I couldn't. Su Yu grinned and said, "Sir, don't worry. It's fine. I've already said that we're only gathering. We won't attack the passageway. Don't worry. The undead below are all my people. I've made some good friends when I went down this time. Oh right, he too is also here. They're all friends." Xing Hong gave Su Yu a deep look. Was this considered a deterrent? Perhaps a little. Su Yu had really stood up. In the past, he and Gu Cheng had been in a passive state. The guard could help if he wanted to. If he didn't want to, Su Yu had no choice. If the guards wanted to transfer the death aura, they could do so. Suyu couldn't refuse. In short, Suyu had always been in an absolute passive state during the transaction with the ancient city guards. Now, he had actually invited dozens of necromancer lords. Xing Hong thought in his heart, while Suyu, he bowed slightly and said, "I've troubled Lord. During this period of time, I've added a lot of trouble to Lord. Now, one can be considered to have some ability. I'll try my best to help all Lord and reduce the burden." Suyu said in a deep voice, "The task of the guardians is to guard the undead passageway. I guarantee that with me here, all the undead passageways will be as stable as Mount Tai. Unless I die." In other words, if he died, the passageway might not be stable. Xing Hong looked at him for a while. The cautious Suyu from back then finally had the capital to talk about this in front of him now. Xing Hong was a little absent-minded. It did not seem like it had been long. Very soon, Xing Hong smiled faintly and said, "The guardian only cares about the rules. Within the rules, everything is negotiable. Outside the rules, it depends on the situation. The undead will not spread, the aura of death will not spread. Everything has nothing to do with the guardian. Even if the heavens are destroyed, it has nothing to do with us. Thank you, sir, for your help." Suyu cupped his hands and bowed slightly to express his gratitude. Xing Hong smiled. "It's all right. The guardians are too boring. Actually, it's good that there are some changes. If there really is someone who can break the rules, there's nothing else to ask for. They'll give up our role." Xing Hong laughed at himself. No one hopes to be a rock for 100,000 years. If it wasn't because we had no other choice, who would be the guard? Break the rules. If you really had the ability to do so, then breaking the rules would give us some hope. It was too long. 100,000 years. Xing Hong felt that it was already very rare for his group of people not to completely go crazy. He saw that Suyu's strength had increased and gathered the other monarchs. He was also a smart person and could not help but chuckle. "Let's go to Tianmie's side first. As for the other guards, I can help you contact them. How many do you plan to receive?" "All of them." Xing Hong was shocked. "Are you sure?" "I'm sure." Suyu said calmly, "Right now, my strength is 100 times stronger than before I entered." Naturally, the increase in strength was not 100 times. However, the current him could fight 100 times more than before. 100 times was not an empty word. Xing Hong took a deep breath. "The death of Xuehua, is it related to you?" "Yes, I killed him." Suyu smiled. "Not only Xuehua, I also killed all the invincible ones who entered this time. Apart from the humans and a few who helped the humans, one killed all of them. Not a single one was left alive." Behind him, Lu Hong's heart was beating rapidly. "What the hell? You're the most vicious person in the world. I say, why are the people dying so badly this time? Even the invincible ones are dying non-stop. So it's all because of you. You're too ruthless." And even Xing Hong was stunned. He couldn't help but say, "This move of yours is too ruthless. It's a massacre. The number of invincible ones I've killed might not even be as many as yours." Suyu smiled and said, "Sir, I didn't want to do this either. But these guys are all shouting and killing when they see me. One didn't provoke anyone, but all the worlds in the universe want to kill me." Suyu gritted his teeth and said, "L wasn't the one who started it. If you kill me, PLL definitely kill you. They have no good intentions towards me, so I'll repay them 100 times over." Xing Hong exhaled. "You came out ahead of time, and you're still preparing to kill." "It depends on the situation. I can't wait to stop for a while, but if someone still wants to kill me, this time, I hope to kill more and intimidate the entire world." I hope Sir can help me. Xing Hong hesitated for a moment and said in a deep voice, "You'd better go to boss first." He agreed, so there's not much of a problem. If he doesn't agree, even if heaven destroys, he might not dare to disobey his orders and act recklessly. Suyu nodded. That's right, Old Turtle's side really had to communicate well. Suyu felt that it wasn't a big problem, on the premise that he didn't bring too much trouble to the ancient city, such as a catastrophe. Sir, then I'll go out for a while. After thinking for a while, Suyu said, it's best if I pretend to be Sir and go out. Sir, what do you think? How about you restrain your aura? You. Even Xing Hong was convinced. You even dared to pretend to be me. You can even pretend to be me. This trip to the Starry Manor had only been a month, but a world-shaking change had occurred. How monstrous. All right. Let's see if you can hide it from Tianmia and the others. It's not a big problem. Suyu laughed. This time, he was indeed much more confident. Soon, a stone sculpture flew out from the sky above the ancient city of Xinghong, once again attracting the attention of countless people. On the immortal side, someone sneered and said, I'm guessing that Suyu is most likely in the Starry Mansion. These guards must be anxious. Think of a way to discuss how to save Suyu. Otherwise, why would this Xinghong keep flying everywhere? As for why he could fly everywhere, perhaps he had some methods that they didn't know about. And at this moment, these people were certain that Suyu was 100% in the mansion. This time, Suyu was dead for sure. Some people gritted their teeth. So many people died this time. Could it be that big killer Suyu did it? If that was the case, they would definitely kill him. And in the ancient city of Heaven Destruction was somewhat surprised. He was here again. What was Xing Hong doing? He had just left. Why was he here again? Xing Hong, why are you here again? Did you deliberately provoke me? Heaven's Destruction was cursing. Did you do it on purpose? You think I can't get out, right? Believe it or not, I'll beat you to death with a stick. Bastard. He cursed a few times. In the next moment, when Suyu came closer, Heaven's Destruction was stunned. Suddenly, a fierce light flashed in his eyes. Even Suyu felt a chill in his heart. He quickly transmitted his voice, Sir, I. F***ck. Tianmia was stunned for a moment. Suyu. You. L. Am I hearing things? Tianmia was stunned. Why did Suyu come out? Oh my god, where did he come from? At this moment, Tianmia began to doubt life. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 2756, Chapter 2756, Chapter 586 General Jinling. Subscribe to subscribe, L. Chapter 2756, Chapter 586 General Jinling. Subscribe to subscribe, L. When he realized that it was Suyu, Tianmia was truly dumbfounded. Just now, he felt that something was wrong. After all, he was a top-notch expert. The moment Suyu approached him, he realized that something was wrong. He was prepared to kill him with a stick, but when he heard that it was Suyu, he might as well kill him. Hey, you're a bold evildoer. How dare you lie to me? Tianmia suppressed the shock in his heart. No more nonsense. I'll F***king give you a punch first. He punched Suyu across space. As for Suyu, he felt it and smiled. He also raised his hand and punched out. Of course, Tianmia didn't use his full strength. If he used his full strength, wouldn't he turn Suyu into ashes? This punch probably had an almost invincible strength. He wanted to test Suyu and at the same time, beat him up to calm himself down. As he punched out, Suyu also punched out across space. Boom! The two-fist prints disappeared and collided in the air. Tianmia was stunned. He punched out again and shouted, "How dare you! There is indeed a problem. So strong. This is definitely not Suyu. Alright, yes and no. This seat must give you a good beating." Boom! Another punch was thrown out. Suyu, with a smile on his face, also followed up with another punch. The aftershock shook. Tianmia was stunned again. F***ck, it's still fine. You forced me. In the next moment, another punch was thrown out. This punch had already reached an invincible strength. Suyu, this brat, had become much stronger. It seemed like an invincible punch might not be able to kill him, so Tianmia felt at ease. Boom! This time, Suyu did not resist. He just stood there and received his punch forcefully. His body shook for a moment, and the force was dispersed. Tianmia stared at him with his eyes wide open and his mouth agape. What was going on? He wanted to punch him again, but Suyu coughed dryly and said, "Sir, it's about time. If you continue to hit him, the outside world will sense it." Tianmia was a little bored and stopped. He looked at Suyu, and a stiff expression appeared on his stone-like face. "I'm petrified. I don't want to talk to you." He didn't say a word. Suyu was no longer that weak piece of trash who had beaten him for a long time and couldn't even get rid of a single hair. He was very sad. Back then, when Suyu first came, he used a sledgehammer to beat him for a long time, but he really couldn't even get rid of a single hair. Now, it was great. As expected, humans were the most detestable creatures. "I hate humans." Tianmia was depressed and didn't want to say anything. As for Suyu, he chuckled as he took out some meat and said, "Sir, eat some. This is good stuff. It's roasted from an invincible body. It's dragon meat from the dragon race." Tianmia's eyes lit up and he instantly looked at the thing in front of Suyu. Dragon meat? That one. I don't really want to eat. "Sir, have a taste." Tianmia reluctantly said, "Since you're so passionate, shall I have some?" As soon as he finished speaking, he instantly shrunk and petrified, turning into a delicate and handsome young man. He looked quite tender, but he wasn't very well behaved. He gave people the feeling that he was a bit restless and a bit fanatical. This person was indeed like this. If you provoked him, he would pull out the city transformation staff and beat you to death with it. Tianmia was somewhat anxious. He grabbed the dragon meat in front of him and ate it. His mouth lit up as he ate. His eyes were bright as he said, "It really is dragon meat. Brat, you're really something. The two dragons that entered were killed by you." "Killed? What about the phoenixes?" "One killed them too. Give me some phoenix meat." "That's fine too." Suyu smiled and took out some. These corpses were actually not complete. However, their main bodies were too big. Even if they exploded, it was still possible to collect some flesh and blood. There were not many complete corpses. He even gave them to Sky Devouring. Actually, Suyu did not even have a complete invincible corpse. Sky Extinguisher ate anxiously and asked, "Where's Jinhe?" One didn't see him. He might be dead. Suyu shrugged. He did not see him. He had killed his way up. If he had seen any familiar faces, he would have taken them away long ago. In the end, he did not meet any of the half-dead spirits that left the ancient city. Sky Extinguisher did not care too much. He might not be dead. If he really is dead, I will have some senses. Not dead. Then where could he be hiding? Suyu didn't care too much. As Heaven's Destruction 8, he said, "Why did you come back early?" "I came out from the dead soul's realm." "Kid, you're good. Heaven's destruction ate until his mouth was full of oil, he said cheerfully. The taste is okay. The Dead Soul's Realm. The Dead Soul's Realm isn't easy to walk through. However, if you don't provoke some things, it's not too difficult to walk through. Don't go to the Dead Soul's heavenly river. Don't cross over. The problem isn't too big. After saying that, he started to eat again. He said vaguely, however, don't go down too often. It is not that simple down there. It is really simple. Boss Turtle has already killed those dead souls down there. Be careful that a marquis will come to patrol one day. It will be troublesome. Boss is not easy to provoke. Suyu was stunned. Marquis? Yes. He was conferred a marquis when he was alive. After he died, he might still be a marquis. Or he might even be an ancient dead soul marquis. In any case, they are very strong. A few years ago, he even fought with Boss. A few years ago. Suyu was puzzled. Tianmie continued, when he too died, Boss fought with a marquis and chased him away. However, he too also lost control. Boss didn't have time to suppress those dead spirits, and in the end, the rules became violent, so he had no choice but to kill he too. Suyu was extremely surprised. He too's death really had the meaning of a conspiracy. A marquis had come to converge the Tao. Sure enough, conspiracy was everywhere. Even the dead soul world had this kind of trouble. However, the years before the apocalypse were really long. It was already 100,000 years ago, and you were still a few years ago. Suyu memorized this matter in his heart. As long as he remembered it, there was no need to say anything more. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 2757, Chapter 2757, Chapter 586, General Zhenling. 2. Chapter 2757, Chapter 586, General Zhenling. 2. Very soon, Suyu smiled and said, Sir, Tianhe is not here. Give me a title of Deputy City Lord or something. I'm afraid there will be a little trouble tomorrow. I hope that Sir can make a move and fight. Tianmie's eyes moved. Which one? Let's say in advance that fighting Tiangu is not easy. This guy is still very strong. Don't look at how he has suffered recently. If he really makes a move, even the boss will find it difficult to suppress him. The other party didn't even ask how he was going to fight. He just asked if he was going to fight Tiangu. Suyu didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He quickly said, it's hard to say. If Tiangu really makes a move, does Sir have the confidence to defeat him? One don't have the confidence. Tianmie shook his head. He wasn't bragging, L can't defeat the one who fought the demons, but I'm not afraid. That guy is too inexperienced. But Tiangu isn't inexperienced. In the first 9 times of the 10 title changes, he has participated in the battle. He has fought the Eternal, the Way of the Unity, and the King of Man. He's not someone to be trifled with. Suyu was deep in thought and nodded slightly. I'll understand. Tianmie continued, however, if we add in Xinghong and call on Yun Shao, if it doesn't work, we can call on one more. If the 4 of us join forces, even if we can't defeat him, it will be difficult for him to deal with us. He also doesn't dare to leave the realm with his true body. At his level, he is afraid that he will be killed when he comes out and will be surrounded and killed. If a clone comes, he will definitely not be able to defeat us. Once these words were said, Suyu was a little more confident. All right then, my lord. It won't be a problem for me to be the deputy city lord, right? Tianmie glanced at him. I've already said it in advance. Let's have a fight. I want to go out and take a stroll. How long? 180 years. Suyu stood up and packed his things. He took away all the food and drinks. He took the cup in Tianmie's hand and turned around to leave. Tianmie hurriedly said, "Well, 10 years or 8 years is also fine." Su Yu continued to walk. "Don't go. I'm half your master. 3 to 5 months is fine, right?" Tianmie saw that he was still going to leave and was furious. "Don't go too far. I'm such an expert. If I make a move for you once, won't you leave for 10 days or 8 days? That's something to consider." Su Yu turned around, he chuckled and said, "Sir, it's not that I'm unwilling, but you have to consider my actual situation. Let's do the math. If you leave for 10 days or 8 days, the others will leave too. Let's see, a year has passed. I don't have the ability to last for a year either." Tianmie snorted, his face full of dissatisfaction. Instantly, he turned into a stone man and returned to his original position. Looking down at Su Yu, he said, "Then that's it. You're too realistic. Xing Hong, Yun Xiao, and the others can leave as they please. I'll be gone for 10 days or 8 days, and you still have to criticize me." Su Yu was speechless. He heard that you were too reckless. What if you left and didn't come back? "Sir, this is what Sir Hongmeng said. It's not that I don't want to give it to you." Tianmie looked at him with disdain. "He can keep walking, but he won't let me leave. The old turtle can sleep for 8,000 years. Can I do it?" That was true. With Tianmie's personality, he was probably anxious too. Su Yu did not say much. He smiled and said, "Sir, give me a token that can communicate with you. If there's a fight later, PLL call for you. Oh right, don't come out before the fight. Otherwise, if people find out, we can all leave." Tianmie was not in a hurry for 1 or 2 days. He said casually, "I'll think we will fight tomorrow. We are not in a hurry for today." Su Yu gave him a thumbs up. "You are right." Tianmie quickly threw a token to Su Yu. He chuckled, "You brat. Anyway, you are not a well-behaved person. You will know on the first day. However, I advise you to make a deal with Demigod Devourer. Otherwise, I think it will be difficult to deal with. There are tens to hundreds of eternity gathered outside now." Su Yu nodded. He could let Harry Ball communicate with him. After saying that, Su Yu was about to leave. Seeing him leave, Tianmie hesitated for a moment. Suddenly, he transmitted his voice, "It's one thing to fight, but kill less. Just destroy 3 bodies. The number of casualties, try to keep it to less than 10. Especially for a clan, don't kill too many, understand?" Su Yu looked sideways, the day petrified, not a word. Su Yu slightly frowned, did not utter a word, just about to leave. The sound of the sky again rang out. "In fact, if you want to kill more, boy, I'll teach you a way. Don't draw the dead out, let the living in. Make a hole, a couple of sticks in it. Got it? The world of the dead has been destroyed, and the world of the living is not responding." Su Yu suddenly turned around and looked at Tianmie. Tianmie continued to remain petrified. "I'm a stone man. I didn't say anything. Don't look at me." But Su Yu's eyes lit up. There were many things hidden in Tianmie's words. First, kill invincible. It was best not to kill more than 10 people. Second, it was best not to kill a whole clan. Third, it wasn't necessary to lure the dead souls out. Instead, it was better to attack them. If they attacked, the dead soul world would decide how many people died. If they died, they would die. Su Yu took a deep breath. Interesting. Heaven's destruction knew a lot of things. However, he seemed to have some scruples and did not say it out directly. In fact, he had already said a lot. Su Yu exhaled and cupped his hands. "Thank you, sir. I understand. It's good that you understand. Add 10 days, at least more than Xing Hong. Su Yu could not help but laugh. That was what he was thinking about. Alright, I'll give priority to satisfying Lord. That's enough, scram, oh right, leave the food behind. Where's the meat? Su Yu was speechless. He left behind all the meat and wine that he had previously collected. Very soon, Su Yu continued to transform into Xing Hong and disappeared from the ancient city of Heaven's destruction. Once he left, Heaven's destruction returned to his human form and happily ran off to eat the meat. As he ate, he lamented, "It's going to be a fight. Let's talk after I'm full. It's been 100,000 years." You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 2758, Chapter 2758, Chapter 586 General Jinling. 3. Chapter 2758, Chapter 586 General Jinling. 3. He looked out of the city. It had been 100,000 years. Tianmi, have had enough. Rules. Tianmi's eyes flashed with a fierce light. Rules, my ass. I will break the rules sooner or later. I don't want to do this damn job at all. Su Yu. He Tuesday. Su Yu was even more ruthless than he too. Damn it, I'll bet that he's ruthless enough. Kill him, turn the world upside down, break this world, break this rule. I won't do it anymore. Xing Hong and the others still wanted to abide by the rules, but Tianmi. They really didn't want to. I want to get out. It's been 100,000 years. I'll kill all of you with one hit. Hee hee. Tianmi sneered. This kid, Su Yu, better be ruthless. How could he not be ruthless? If he wasn't ruthless, how could he fight? Kill him, turn the world upside down, get those old farts out, and kill all of them. Just as he was thinking, a hazy voice sounded. Tianmi, what did you say to Su Yu just now? Nothing. Tianmi grimaced, boss, I didn't do anything. El just told him that if he wants to fight, he has to abide by the rules. Otherwise, our guards will never violate the rules and help him. For example, if we want to fight outside the city, unless our holy city is attacked, I will definitely not take action. Old Turtle's voice came faintly, Tianmi, you have to know that you are not only representing you, but also your other brothers and sisters. If the catastrophe of the rule comes for a short time. Tianmi's eyes flashed with a fierce light. Boss, I know. If it wasn't for everyone, one would have killed my way out of the first tide. Now, I'm in the 10th tide. Old Turtle seemed to have realized something. After a moment of silence, he said again, do you have your own plans? Tell me the truth. Tianmi was silent for a moment. He bared his teeth and said, it's really nothing. It's just that. I'm going to talk to Su Yu and find a human eternal high-level cultivator to replace me. I'll go out and help him kill people. What do you think? Nothing much. Tianmi was speechless. He harumphed and said unhappily, forget it, please not talk about it anymore. It's so annoying. He did not even bother to eat anymore. In an instant, he blocked all directions. He did not want to listen to his boss's nonsense anymore. He immediately turned into a stone statue and remained motionless as if he was dead. He continued guarding the passageway. At the bottom of the Sea of Stars. In Hongmeng ancient city. The old turtle had a headache. He sighed helplessly. He couldn't hold it in any longer. 100,000 years. He could hold it in, Yunxiao couldn't hold it in any longer, Heaven's destruction couldn't hold it in any longer, and so could Xinghong. If he could hold it in, he too would have been able to withstand the aura of death at the first tide. However, Heaven's destruction and the others weren't as anxious as they were now, nor were they putting in so much effort. They were all perfunctory. At that time, these guards were rather casual. The first tide wasn't too far away from the ancient era. It was around 1,000 years. To them, 1,000 years still carried a lot of expectations. They were looking forward to the restoration of the ancient era, the return of the human emperor, and the return of King Wen and King Wu. They were looking forward to everything. They were looking forward to the rotation of their roles, and they were looking forward to continuing their loyal duties. 100,000 years later, everyone couldn't hold it in any longer. The ancient era was truly destroyed. The rules were still in place, and they had become prisoners. Their progress in power was slow, and heaven destruction was already close to the Deluge. After 100,000 years, they were still close to the Deluge. Their strength had not improved much, and they were living like prisoners. Su Yu was this life-saving straw. Thus, in this title change, there was Su Yu, but his treatment was completely different from He Tu's. For him, Xing Hong went to the human realm and secretly killed many undefeatable warriors. Yun Xiao and Tian Nye disregarded the great calamity of the rules and pulled out the city to fight for him, almost triggering the apocalypse. This couldn't have happened 100,000 years ago. Because at that time, they believed that the chaos was only temporary. At that time, there were actually some old friends who chatted with each other every now and then, talking about when they could change shifts. Later on, there were fewer and fewer old friends and no more friends. After the changes of the tides, there were fewer and fewer old friends. Gradually, all the guards closed themselves off, and they were no longer as active and expectant as before. In the outside world, when they saw that Xing Hong had fallen into another ancient city, in the distance, the eyes of those invincible guards flickered. Someone said telepathically, "What are these guards going to do? Are they really going to start a war with the heavens for Su Yu? There's no need to be afraid of a war. Unless they really want to die, they won't be able to leave the ancient city. I'm just afraid that they'll disregard the rules just like before. That was just an accident, and we were forced by that old turtle. In addition, he's just a guard. The various races are giving face to him, so it's fine if they don't want to shed all pretense of cordiality. If these guards really go against the rules, a great calamity will descend in an instant. As long as we avoid it for a while, these guards will all die. Don't worry about them joining forces. It's more like they want to die. I'm just afraid that the dead soul's realm will open. Don't worry. There's a way. The rules are still there. It's not that simple for the dead souls to go around killing people. The key to the ancient city is still Su Yu. As long as we destroy Su Yu, these guards will give up. Are you sure that Su Yu is inside? One wasn't 100% sure before, but now, he's definitely in there. Xing Hong probably used a special method to leave the ancient city, and now he's probably anxious. He probably realized that Su Yu has been exposed. Just wait. These people talked and discussed among themselves. On the human side, the great Xia King looked over and frowned slightly. Xing Hong is running around like this. Didn't he tell everyone that Su Yu is really in there? Is he getting anxious? You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 2759, Chapter 2759, Chapter 586 General Zhenling 4. Chapter 2759, Chapter 586 General Zhenling 4. It had been 100,000 years, and these ancient guards were really impatient. What's the hurry? Hurry up and don't run around. You guards can communicate with each other through voice transmission, but why do you have to contact each other one by one? The Darning King, who was disguised as the Great Zhou King, also looked over and frowned slightly. He didn't say anything. On their side, there were still a few experts who had arrived. The Great Han King, the Great Tang King, the Great Shang King, the Great Song King, and the Silkworm Exterminating King, who specialized in the power of time, as well as the Great Xia King and the Daming King, had gathered a total of 7 top-tier experts. At this moment, the others also looked in that direction. The Great Han King, the Great Song King, and the Silkworm Exterminating King all felt a little strange in the depths of their hearts. It was a very weak feeling. It was different from before, but there was a slight feeling, this Xing Hong seemed to have some connection with them. What connection? It was hard to say. This was because Su Yu had outlined their divine text, and they were too close. However, at this moment, Su Yu's strength had increased. In terms of willpower alone, he was definitely weaker than them, but he might not be much weaker. After stepping into the mountain and sea realm, he opened 360 divine apertures, and his divine text advanced to the sun and moon realm. At this moment, Su Yu's ability to conceal himself was actually very strong. These few people only had a slight reaction. On the Silkworm Exterminating King's side, the main thing was still the time cultivation technique. He stared at Xing Hong for a moment and didn't look any further. If he looked too much, others might think that they were provoking him. Hearing the Great Xia King's words, the Great Ming King said in a deep voice, "Don't worry. We still don't know the exact situation inside. Tomorrow, it will be time to teleport. The passageway has broken, and we still don't know if it will be able to teleport smoothly." The Great Xia King heaved a sigh of relief. He hoped that everything would be fine. In reality, the hope was slim. At this moment, more and more invincible immortals were gathering outside. More than 10 immortal kings had come, and many other races had also come. The recent turmoil had caused great losses to all races. This was especially true for the immortal race, who had clearly known that 5 of their immortal kings had fallen. And before that, Xia Long had attained the Tao with martial arts, and there had also been the death of immortal kings. There had also been the explosion of 3 immortal kings. The immortal race had suffered heavy losses, and they had been dormant for many years. This tide had just appeared, and they had already suffered such great losses. If this continued, the immortal race would be in turmoil. Their deterrence would drop. If it was the human race, 7 or 8 invincible kings would have died, and many invincible kings would have lost 3 incarnations. They would not be able to live through those days. It was likely that a great disaster would befall them. One had to say that the immortal race had a deep foundation. At this juncture, a large number of immortal kings had been mobilized. Su Yu did not care about the matters of the outside world. He knew a lot about invincible. It did not matter, I don't care. He walked city by city. Some of the ancient cities directly took over the position of city lord, while others served as city generals. As long as they could transmit the aura of death, it would be fine. These ancient city guards did not say much. Some were silent, some were excited, and some were cold. They all seemed to have some anticipation, or perhaps, desire. Desire for slaughter, desire for war, desire for destruction. 100,000 years. Even for them, 100,000 years was long enough to reach the point of madness. In the end, after taking a round, Su Yu arrived at Cloud Sky Ancient City. Cloud Sky had known about the situation for a long time. He also knew that Su Yu had returned. This woman, who was previously hot-tempered, pulled out the city as a sword, and directly killed people, was invincible. When she saw Su Yu, she smiled and said, "Do you want me to accompany you to boss's side?" Su Yu smiled and said, "No need. Lord Yunshao doesn't need to go out, lest those people think too much. I came here to thank you, Lord. Last time, one was almost killed by the rule catastrophe because of me. It's nothing." Yunshao said with a faint smile, "It's not just for you, but I hate this confinement. We are like prisoners, trembling in fear. We have been guarding the dead soul realm for 100,000 years, 100,000 years, but not many people remember us. They only treat us as tools. Yun Xiao said coldly, they think that we should guard it. It is our duty. What a joke. The ancient capital was destroyed, the imperial court was gone. The ancient parliament was also gone. Now, what duty was there? It was only limited by the rules. What kind of *T rules are these? She cursed for a while and then quickly said, Su Yu, boss has scruples. It is also for us, but we are not afraid. But if you want to convince boss, you have to do one thing or promise one thing. He might make a move and try his best. Please speak. Su Yu looked at Yun Xiao. Yun Xiao said faintly, council members' order. 99 pieces. In ancient times, the reward rules were set by the human race. The punishment rules were set by the council. Of course, both sides also jointly set some other rules. This had nothing to do with us. We violated the rules, and the bloody disaster that appeared came from the council's order. If we could seize 99 tokens. No, we only needed 50 tokens, and the rules would be evaded. If we could obtain 99 tokens, we could even cancel the rules. We could even make use of the rules to formulate the rules. If you agree, you will be able to gather 50 ancient representative tokens. This way, we will be able to avoid the punishment of the rules and even change our roles. All of these problems will not be a problem. Su Yu took a light breath. This was too difficult. It was really too difficult. This was because he had seen it the last time. The tokens were all in the hands of some large clans and the aboriginals. They were all controlled by the experts of the clans. If they wanted to snatch this thing, they might as well kill them. Yun Xiao was creating a problem for himself. Yun Xiao smiled and said, there's no need to be anxious. I don't expect you to do it now. You can do it in the future. Su Yu was silent for a while, then nodded. I'll try my best to do it, but I can't promise, and I can't promise. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 2760, Chapter 2760, Chapter 586, General Zhenling. 5. Chapter 2760, Chapter 586, General Zhenling. 5. That's enough. After saying that, Yun Xiao added, I'll feel that the Balrog in the passage is gone, so I can put in more effort. One let Xingyue and the others take it away. Yun Xiao burst into laughter. Soon, he said, that's even better, the pressure isn't too great. However, it's not easy to use the sacred city, or else the passage will open. Without weapons, our strength will still decline a little. How much pressure can you withstand? If possible, I'll transfer all the death aura generated by the passage to you. In this way, you can use your weapons. Our weapons will greatly increase our strength. Su Yu understood that Yun Xiao had been defeated by several invincible kings last time. As a result, he drew his sword in his battle prowess sword, killing an invincible king in an instant. He should be able to hold on for a while. Without the undead sovereign, he should be able to hold on. That's good. After saying that, Yun Xiao smiled and said, don't tell Tianmi. Otherwise, you might not be able to hold on. Understood. Su Yu bowed. Thank you, my lord. Then I'll make a trip to Lord Hongmeng's place. Go. Boss knows many things and has many worries. He's a member of the Hongmeng Turtle clan. In the end, he's still different from us. In boss's eyes, 100,000 years might not be too long, but to us, it's too long. Yun Xiao sighed. After all, they were not a clan. The Hongmeng Turtle was the longest-lived clan in the world. Sometimes, boss actually did not understand them. Boss always said, let's wait. It will be fine after a nap. It doesn't matter, just bear with it. Year after year, boss was able to endure the loneliness. He was able to endure it even if he did not open the city for 100,000 years, but they could not. They could not bear it. Su Yu bid farewell to Yun Xiao and also felt some emotions. These guards seemed to be anxious and couldn't endure it any longer. It went very smoothly. Su Yu gave a simple explanation and all the guards didn't seem to have any objections. At the bottom of the sea. Hongmeng Ancient City. The moment Su Yu arrived, the incarnation of Hongmeng Old Tortoise appeared. It was still that young man. He waved his hand and a table appeared in front of him. Su Yu did not pay much attention to it. Instead, he was a little surprised. There seemed to be a small demon at the entrance of the ancient city. It was really bold. Su Yu cupped his hands toward Old Turtle and sat down at the side of the table. Old Turtle also sat down and said with a smile, "Did you go to the 8th floor?" "Yes." "Did you bring the mysterious heaven tea?" Previously, the heaven overseeing Marquis came over and drank a cup. "It tastes pretty good and I miss it." "No, I just went to the Blood Cavalry General's mansion and left." Old Turtle was a little surprised. He smiled and said, "You are so generous. You didn't check it out." "It's okay. I will go there sooner or later." Old Turtle laughed. "It's easy to say, but maybe it really is easy." Then, he looked at Su Yu's forehead and said with a strange look, "Did you open the gate of heaven?" "Yes." "The heavenly gate." Old Turtle sighed and looked at the outside world. He seemed to have seen through the void and saw the white jade gate above the sea of stars. "That is also the heavenly gate. Do you know it?" "Yes." Su Yu nodded. "And it is not an imitation. There is a high probability that it is the real heavenly gate." "Yes." Su Yu said calmly, "This is the heavenly gate of a living person. Don't you know, sir?" Old Turtle was silent for a moment before shaking his head. "I'm not too sure. Does my lord know about Mount Tai?" Old Turtle frowned. "Don't randomly call out the names of these peerless experts in the outside world. Ordinary people don't care, but to you and me, there is fate. It's easy to sense and very dangerous. This is the honorific title of the martial king." Su Yu nodded. As expected, it was the martial king. A terrifying existence. Su Yu said again, "The Lord should know my purpose of coming. I know that if this happens, the sacred city might be embroiled in a war. However, I hope to obtain the Lord's help." Old Turtle sighed. They all agreed, right? "Yes." "Sigh, I can't help it." "That's right. It has been too long. They always feel that I don't understand them. Actually, I can understand. However, I hope that they will live until the day the rules are re-established." Old Turtle sighed, "They are all meritorious ministers. The meritorious ministers of the myriad worlds in the heavens are all re-established. No matter who becomes the overlord, they are all meritorious ministers. They will be rewarded by the laws of the heavens and earth and step into the Deemerge, becoming a duke of a region. We don't need to take sides. We wait silently. Be it you, him, the immortals, or the humans, as long as the undead race doesn't dominate the heavens, we are all meritorious ministers. What do you think?" Su Yu nodded. This was true. No matter who won, as long as the ancient city didn't side with them, they would be able to suppress the undead realm for 100,000 years. This contribution couldn't be erased and couldn't be denied. But now, they can't wait anymore. They want to side with us. Old Turtle sighed. But they should also know that this is a crisis. Once they fail, the 100,000 years of merits will be wasted. Unless you, Su Yu, win, the humans it may not be useful. Only you, Su Yu, win and become the overlord of the heavens. Otherwise, any investments made by the Guardians will be useless. You can't give us anything. You can only liberate us in terms of the rules. Suyu, do you understand? Suyu was silent for a moment before nodding. Yes, only if I win and win the heavens will I be able to bring benefits to everyone. Otherwise, all the benefits now would be insignificant. Old Turtle smiled bitterly, that's why I've always advised them not to participate too much. Don't even open your mouth and become a stone statue in silence. Will you care about a stone statue? If we don't speak, if we don't open our mouth, when the heavens decide the universe again, we'll be free. You're tuning into the Han Lee's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 2761, Chapter 2761, Chapter 586, General Zhenling. 6. Chapter 2761, Chapter 586, General Zhenling. 6. Suyu nodded. Sir is right, but Sir, seems to have failed. Old Turtle glanced at him for a long while, he said somewhat angrily, failure is also your responsibility. If it wasn't for you. No, if it wasn't for that bastard Xing Hong, running around all day and wandering around, even Tianmi and the others had given up on him, how could he have become active again? Is it my fault? Suyu shrugged. One didn't let Xing Hong run around. He ran by himself. I can only say that. Xing Hong did a beautiful job, activating all the guards in an instant. So, we're still alive. We can still get out. Suyu thought for a moment, he smiled and said, Sir, it's your idea to live until the end of the world. It doesn't mean that it's the other people's idea. Perhaps, what they want is to be magnificent. Sir, since you have cultivated to this stage, I don't believe that everyone's goal is to simply live, to live like a prisoner. When a person who has no thoughts and no thoughts is alive, it is better to die and turn into a dead spirit. At least you can move around in the dead spirit realm. Old Turtle exhaled lightly, after a long while, he said, Suyu, you are very talented and your strength is not bad, but I don't think highly of you. Of course, I don't think highly of everyone. I only believe in the facts. However, since those old brothers have agreed, I can agree to you. At the critical moment, one will block Tian Gu and Tian Jian Marquis for you. As for the rest, one don't care. Suyu was overjoyed. It was enough. Before he came, he didn't expect Old Turtle to agree. He just hoped Old Turtle could help keep an eye on the Dead Soul Realm. Sir, the Dead Soul Realm. You sent them to Xinyue's side. Old Turtle was amazing. Suyu nodded, yes. Old Turtle was silent for a while, go then. The Dead Soul Realm. If you don't mess around and don't cause trouble, it won't be a big problem. I'll handle the other problems. Also, don't let Xing Hong and the others break the rules. If they do, the other races won't make a move. Once the blood catastrophe comes, they will die. One understand. The so-called rules are just a sentence. Don't let the dead spirit spread out. If the death aura spreads out, I will take care of it. Old Turtle nodded. That was it. As long as he could do that, everything would be fine. The key problem was that it was easier said than done. There were a total of 36 experts in charge of preventing the death aura from spreading out. As for Suyu, it was difficult. Just because he could hold on for a moment didn't mean that he could hold on forever. So be it. Old Turtle sighed and disappeared from the spot. After waiting for 100,000 years, he hoped that the world would be at peace. However, his old buddies weren't willing to wait anymore. Xing Hong. No, the source was still Suyu. It was all because of you, you bastard, it caused these fellows to be tempted by the mortal world. If you don't bring them back safely, I will deal with you. These were all meritorious subjects, the meritorious subjects of this world. Old Turtle returned. Very quickly, his willpower reached into the death spirit. realm and spread endlessly. Very quickly, it spread to the direction of the Death Spirit Heavenly River. At this moment, a Death Spirit monarch was crossing the river. Boom! The sky collapsed and the earth cracked. The heavenly river erupted. The Death Spirit monarch was shocked and shouted, "Is this the spirit subduing general? I am under the orders of the Eastern Heavenly King to inspect the changes in the Eastern 30 regions." Boom! The old turtle's phantom image appeared and shook the Death Spirit Sky River. He said coldly, Hong Meng will guard this place. I will kill anyone who crosses the boundary. No matter how strong the Eastern Heavenly King is, he cannot go against the rules. We will talk about it after he becomes the emperor. Boom! The sky collapsed and the earth cracked again and again. The Death Spirit monarch was like a small boat in the river. He was instantly overturned and swallowed by the Death Spirit Sky River. The old turtle's projection looked into the depths of the Death Spirit Heavenly River and said coldly, I am the spirit subduing general, guarding this world. Whether it is the Eastern or Western Heavenly Kings, whoever crosses the boundary, just fight me. With a rumble, the heavenly river violently fluctuated, and the old turtle instantly disappeared. Not long later, a few Death Spirit monarch figures appeared on the opposite side. With lingering fear, they said in a low voice, Spirit subduing general. The spirit subduing marquis is more or less the same. This old turtle, a few marquises in the king's mansion, may not be able to defeat him. A terrifying existence. An existence that could have been conferred a marquis 100,000 years ago. If he was still around during the ancient times, he might have been able to enter the assembly. It seemed like he was the only one in the Hong Meng turtle clan. The group of dead spirits hesitated for a moment before leaving. Forget it, they should go back and report. This matter was not something they could handle. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 2762, Chapter 2762, Chapter 587 Mansion Sealed. Return via teleportation L. Chapter 2762, Chapter 587 Mansion Sealed. Return via teleportation L. Su Yu returned to ancient city of Xinghong. As for Xinghong, he returned to his original state and turned into a stone statue, guarding the passageway. In the back hall, Lu Hong was fixed in place, unable to move. When he saw Su Yu return, he quickly winked at him, wanting Su Yu to let him go. Su Yu ignored him and looked at Xinghong. He bowed slightly and said, Sir, does King Wen have an inheritance? Inheritance? Xinghong thought for a moment. Yes, but it's already extinct. The first 3 tide flows actually appeared before, but it was completely destroyed later on. There's a high probability that it's gone now. Then, he looked at Lu Hong. You're talking about him? Yes. It's hard to say. Xinghong thought for a moment and said, if he's King Wen's inheritance. Then he's too weak. It didn't seem like it. It was impossible for King Wen's inheritance to be so weak. Su Yu nodded, waved his hand, and let go of Lu Hong. He said softly, Teacher, have you made up a reason? Lu Hong was speechless. I can't even accept what he said. After thinking for a moment, Lu Hong quickly said, one was really lucky to find King Wen's token outside. Su Yu said calmly, you know King Wen? I dare say that many invincible experts don't know King Wen, do you? Su Yu took out the token from before. Look for it for me. Where is King Wen written on it? Teacher, do you have to force me to kill you and extract your blood essence? Lu Hong was powerless. After a long while, he said, Su Yu, this is also my own opportunity. You also have a great opportunity. There's no need to snatch my opportunity, right? Su Yu said calmly, one don't care about opportunities and treasures. I'm not forcing you to hand over your own opportunity to me. I just want to know, King 1. When Tombstone, 1st generation head, 5th generation, what is the connection between all of these? And how much do you, Lu Hong? No. Lu Hong shook his head. Don't know. A book appeared. Su Yu looked at him. Then I'll invite teacher to take a tour of my civilization. Lu Hong's heart palpitated, he felt threatened. After a moment of silence, Lu Hong said feebly, I'll tell you. I won't tell you everything, but I can tell you something in general. Some things are my private secrets, and I don't want to tell you. What do you think? Sure, tell me. Lu Hong was helpless, he said, actually, it's not that complicated. I'll tell you the truth. I got my chance at Great Xia Civilization University, and I picked it up. You might not believe me, but it's all true. Including my multi-divine prose combat technique, King Wen's token was obtained from the Great Xia Civilization Academy. Really don't know much. I only know that King Wen was an ancient powerhouse who was incomparably powerful. Later, when he died, there would be a tomb keeper from each generation who would always guard his tomb. The previous generation's tomb keeper robbed King Wen's tomb. The King Wen token I got belonged to the previous generation's tomb keeper. He left something behind at the Great Xia Civilization Academy, and by chance, I got it. The reason I went to the Dead Soul Realm was also related to the thing that he left behind. He looked at Su Yu, he thought for a moment and said, according to the clues and intelligence I got, there is a mansion of King Wen in the Dead Soul Realm. There is a supreme treasure left behind, and with the King Wen token, there might be a chance to get all of this. So, I was planning how to enter the Dead Soul Realm. Su Yu said calmly, it's that simple. Where did you get the treasure? Sea of Consciousness Secret Realm. Lu Hong explained, really, it's that simple. Then when you enter the Dead Souls Realm, you are a living person. Aren't you afraid of the dead souls? Lu Hong hurriedly said, I'm half dead, and I turned into a half-dead soul to suppress my anger. In addition, with the King Wen token, as long as I'm not too unlucky and encounter some dead soul monarchs, it won't be a big problem. Su Yu gave him a deep look. Apart from that? Lu Hong said weakly, that's it, that's all. Oh right, the previous generation's tomb keeper left some words. Su Yu said faintly, don't be in a hurry to say it. The previous generation's tomb keeper, Mansion Master Xia Chen, I met him in the dead spirit world, and he's down there right now. If you can't tell me anything, I'll take you to confront him later. Lu Hong's mouth was wide open as he looked at Su Yu. Are you kidding me? Su Yu said coldly, do you think I'm lying to you? Is there a need for that? I'll really want to deal with you. PLL kill you and swallow you. Everything will be under control. Teacher, don't let me down too much. Otherwise, I'm afraid that little bit of friendship in the academy will be completely lost. This time, Lu Hong felt a little helpless, he said loudly, all right, I'll tell you everything. What I said before is true, but there are some things that I'm hiding. There is a residence of King Wen in the death spirit world, but this residence doesn't have any treasures. There is only a key, which is the key to King Wen's residence in the Starry Sky residence. Also, the Gravekeeper said that the multi-divine inscriptions aren't allowed in the world and have no future in the living spirit world. If there is a way, it's best to leave the living spirit world. Also, don't take the tombstone. If you take it, you'll die. The tombstone should be the polytheistic combat technique tombstone in the academy. Whoever takes it will die. Not only that, anyone who learns the combat techniques on it will die. Also, there's a high probability that there's a traitor on the human side. He's very strong. Lu Hong shrugged and said, this traitor usually won't show up, but when the polytheistic runes rise, he'll definitely make a move. This guy is just a spy, and he is specifically targeting the multi-god text. It's not the Burning Sea King, the Burning Sea King is just being used by someone. This is my own judgment. When the Burning Sea King appeared previously, I thought it was him, but later I judged that it shouldn't be him. There should be another one. You're tuning into the Han Lee's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 2763, Chapter 2763, Chapter 587. The mansion was sealed. Chapter 2763, Chapter 587. The mansion was sealed. And he returned after teleporting too. This guy should have appeared after the Tomb Keeper. You can find a way to check it out yourself, because there was also an informant who might have been killed. The Tomb Keeper might have gone to kill him, and they might have perished together. If you say that the Tomb Keeper is of the first generation, then it was probably killed by the first generation. Lu Hong analyzed for a moment and added some of his own judgment. He continued, some of the words left by the Gravekeeper said that he was targeted when he came out of the tomb. Someone was keeping an eye on him, right in the human race. He must have discovered the spy in the beginning, so the Gravekeeper went to kill someone. I'm not too sure about the details, and I don't have the ability to investigate. Later, the Tomb Keeper probably didn't come back. I guessed that he and the spy perished together. In the end, there might still be spies. This is one of the reasons why the polytheistic department has been suppressed for so many years. Anyway, I don't dare to say that I'm from the polytheistic department. I only said that I learned the splitting method, not from the divine literature battle technique steel. Otherwise, I would definitely be in trouble. If you didn't learn the divine literature battle technique from the divine literature battle technique steel, then it wouldn't be a big problem. So, the real problem is still your branch. He said whatever came to his mind, and Suyu just listened quietly. After a long while, when he finished speaking, Suyu slowly said, so, you've actually already sketched out the divine literature battle technique, but you're not willing to join the multi-divine literature department because you're afraid of being liquidated? Lu Hong wasn't embarrassed. He said, of course I'm afraid. From the tone of it, the situation is very complicated. Don't even want to stay in the living spirit world anymore, so I'm going to the dead spirit world to develop. Brought King Wen to King Wen's mansion and took the key. Although I don't have any treasures, I think it's enough for me to cultivate, right? Cultivated until I was invincible in the sun and moon, and then I went to Starry Mansion to inherit King Wen's wealth. Then, forget it, you caught me, and there's nothing else. Suyu fell into deep thought. On the side, Xing Hong was also listening quietly. At this moment, he interrupted, what he said might not be a lie. King Wen died before the ancient era was destroyed, and before the ancient era was destroyed, King Wen disappeared less than 1,000 years ago. Disappeared? Suyu looked at him. Disappeared? Wasn't he dead? Xing Hong explained, at King Wen's level, everything is hidden. You can't find out anything. Including the fall. If he really died, the commotion would be huge. The one who killed him must be a supreme existence. Such an existence, the rules were set by them. Do you think you can see the falling phenomenon? The phenomenon is also the rules. The rules are them. Now, whether it was the invincible death or the sun and moon falling, they were all part of the rules. And the rules were those who could not do anything to those who set the rules, or those who could break the rules. At King Wen's level, he was one of the rule makers. If he was really killed, it would be done by someone stronger than him. If he was killed, he would be killed. The fluctuation of the rules would be suppressed instantly. The outside world couldn't sense anything at all. That was why Xing Hong used the word missing instead. King Wen went missing, but it was said that he died later. Therefore, some experts of that era, some of King Wen's inheritances, didn't know what happened later. In desperation, they built a tomb for King Wen and erected a monument. From then on, King Wen's tomb was born. Later on, the ancient era was destroyed, and gradually, some things became extinct. Xing Hong added, King Wen's death was too unexpected, so it's normal for someone to keep an eye on the tomb keepers. Elle didn't know much about this before, but I've vaguely heard about it. After King Wen's death, his successor and some of his good friends chose a line of inheritance to be the tomb keepers for him. They were even conferred the title of nobility by the human emperor, Marquis Shou Wen. I'm not sure about what happened after that. There's a high chance that someone is keeping an eye on this line of inheritance. He was indeed not sure. They were not in the same system. Besides, they had already taken up their positions here at that time. How could they have time to care about this? They were not in the same system. In ancient times, a king was a system. They belonged to King Gong's faction, and King Gong was directly responsible to the human emperor. They did not have much interaction with King Wen's faction. Even if he didn't know because King Wen's status was too high. What would he know if he wasn't a marquis? No one would tell them. Su Yu nodded slightly and glanced at Lu Hong. Teacher, do you have anything else to say? Lu Hong was helpless. No. Anyway, I only know that you're very dangerous, extremely dangerous. The Wen tombstone is definitely in your hands. I know that smart people live short lives, but I still have to say, why don't you run away too? Why don't you run away with me to the dead soul world? No one who carries this thing will have a good ending, and no one who comes into contact with it will have a good ending. Whether it's Nan Wujiang or Yun Chen, they can hide quickly. Otherwise, they would have died long ago. The fifth generation came into contact with many people, so they died quickly, and not just because they wanted to attain the Tao. Lu Wenyan, Hong Tan, and the others, in any case, I think that they won't have a good ending. According to the rumors in the world, if you get this, you can become an emperor. I'm thinking that it might be related to King Wen. I'm not sure about the specifics. I'll only know that that thing is most likely in your hands now. Su Yu didn't say anything. At the side, Xing Hong suddenly said, if you have time, you can ask Tianmi. Su Yu was surprised. What did he mean? You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 2764, Chapter 2764, Chapter 587 Mansion Sealed, Teleportation 3. Chapter 2764, Chapter 587 Mansion Sealed, Teleportation 3. Xing Hong explained, Tianmia and King Wen's faction had a good relationship back then. When Tombstone was created, he seemed to be at the scene. Even if he didn't see the situation, he probably knew something. At that time, the rules weren't as strict as they are now. That guy ran around everywhere. I remember that he ran away. When he came back, he even said that once when Tombstone was created, King Wen's faction lost their inheritance. Su Yu was extremely surprised. Tianmie. Was this person related to King Wen's faction? Su Yu actually didn't know. When Tianmie first saw him, he saw the Wen tombstone and knew what it was. He had seen it before, and very few people had seen it before. Of course, Tianmie was too lazy to talk about this with Su Yu. Su Yu didn't ask about some things, and these old fogies were too lazy to talk about it. Some simply forgot to say it, or didn't want to say it. Lu Hong's words didn't dispel Su Yu's doubts. He could only vaguely sense that when Tombstone, a treasure that didn't seem to be of much use, seemed really out of the ordinary. The multiple divine runes had been targeted, suppressed, and killed. The inside story was far more complicated than he had imagined. He had been in this quagmire from the very beginning, and he was already unable to extricate himself from it. He glanced at Lu Hong and suddenly tossed King Wen to him. His interest waned as he said, "Go wherever you like. If you think it's an opportunity, you can take it yourself." Lu Hong looked at him in a daze, somewhat in disbelief. Su Yu said coldly, "An opportunity is just a scenery for me on the road ahead. It's beautiful, but I don't necessarily have to take it. If you take it, it's yours, unless it's extremely useful to me. Lu Laoshi might have kept some secrets, but I'm not interested to know. In this era, which genius doesn't have secrets? I'm not interested in asking either. Be it King Wen or King Wu, if Lu Laoshi can reach that step, it will be your life. If you can't reach that step, it will be your life. I, Su Yu, will naturally follow my own path. One day, I will overturn everything and investigate everything. One don't care about those that have nothing to do with me. Those that have interfered with me will repay my kindness. Those that have a grudge against me will be avenged. At this point, Su Yu said calmly, "Teacher, you can enter the passageway now. I won't stop you." At the side, Xing Hong was deeply moved. Magnanimity. This was the magnanimity of an overlord. It was just an opportunity. One don't want it even if it's King Wen's opportunity. One don't need it. Su Yu, will only walk my own path. Xing Hong was extremely moved. This era was really about to give birth to an overlord. Lu Hong looked at him in a daze with a complicated expression on his face. After a long while, he said faintly, "You let Star Moon Sovereign leave. Can you say that again? Have you forgotten what you said? You told her to stop me. Do I dare to go? Damn it, PM doomed immediately. Su Yu, did you really forget, or did you pretend to forget? I suspect that you did it on purpose. Kid, aren't you a little too black-hearted?" Su Yu's face was indifferent. "That's your business, it has nothing to do with. If King knew it." Lu Hong was filled with grief and indignation. After a long while, he said dejectedly, "I'm not leaving. When I go treasure hunting one day, I'll definitely ask you to come along, alright? I don't care about these treasures. Don't, I'll give them to you." Lu Hong said bitterly, "You're my grandpa. I begged you to go. I beg you to go treasure hunting with me. The big head belongs to you, and the small head belongs to me. One don't need it." "No, Grandpa, I'll give it to you. I'll give it to you. You definitely need it." Su Yu pondered for a moment. "Your enthusiasm is a little too much for me to handle. Forget it, I'll accompany you when I'm free." "That's right. The dead soul realm is too dangerous. I won't be at ease with you alone. I'll escort you there." At the side, Xing Hong was dumbstruck. "This works. The heck. I'm sorry, I take back all the praise I had in my heart. You don't deserve it. This kid, Su Yu, really has a black heart. Right, I'll let you go, you go. Where are you going? If you have the ability, you go. I'll be magnanimous, right? The group of monarchs below are waiting for you." Su Yu was too lazy to say anything to Lu Hong. "Teacher, you can go back and rest." Lu Hong sighed, hunched his back, and felt endless despair. He left the rear hall and found a place to hide. If he landed in Su Yu's hands, he would definitely not have a good time. The moment he left, Xing Hong immediately smiled and said, You're too." Su Yu smiled and said, "He's hiding. There are some things he hasn't said. I can't be bothered to ask him at this time." As he spoke, Su Yu smiled and said, "Don't bother about him. I'll go out to take a look and judge the situation. The sky is already dark. It will soon start to close down. Sir, get ready." Xing Hong nodded and did not say anything else. Very soon, Su Yu used his identity to soar into the sky. He floated high in the sky of the ancient city and looked at the distant starry manor. At this moment, the passage was completely broken. The white jade gate, where the starry manor was located, seemed to be breathing previously. It fluctuated slightly. Now, this gate seemed to have stopped breathing again. It seemed to have stopped breathing. It was about to close. When someone saw Su Yu, he looked over and sneered. Was this really Suyu? Even now, he was still pretending. He could be considered a capable person. There was a faint smile on Invincible's face. City Lord Su, Xinghong has been visiting his friends. He seems quite relaxed. Is he preparing to welcome the return of the City Lord of Tianhe City? Suyu looked at that person, who was an underworld race expert. Suyu looked at him coldly. What's your name? Tell me your name. I'll kill you later. I know how to write an epitaph for you. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 2765, Chapter 2765, Chapter 587 Mansion Sealed, Teleportation 4. Chapter 2765, Chapter 587 Mansion Sealed, Teleportation 4. That person laughed and couldn't be bothered. There was nothing to talk about with a fake Suyu. No matter how arrogant and overbearing he was still a fake. On the human side, the Great Xia King and the others also looked over. The Great Xia King looked over for a while. He said telepathically, "This fellow is quite good at acting. This fellow Lu Hong still has a bit of a future. It's just that he's too calculative. However, he can also be considered smart and has always kept a distance from the multidivine literature department." The Darming King also looked over and frowned slightly. It felt a little different from before. Was the disguise more realistic? He thought for a moment and said, "Old Xia, do you feel that? This guy's bearing has changed a little, and he is more calm." These words of invincible slaughter coming out of his mouth feel a little overbearing. The Darming King also felt a little like this. He nodded slightly and transmitted his voice, "I'm used to this kind of situation. After training, he is indeed a talent. Normal people wouldn't be able to be calm and magnanimous in this kind of situation." Lu Hong still had some guts. Suyu didn't care about them. He was observing and investigating. How many invincible experts were there in the vicinity? Who had 3 incarnations and whose original body had come personally? If it was 3 incarnations, all of them would be destroyed. If it was his original body, he would kill some of them. The rest would think of a way to enter the dead soul realm. Soon, Suyu looked at the immortal side. There were many undefeatable immortals there. Just from what he sensed, there were at least 10 of them. Perhaps there were still quite a few of them in the dark. The immortals were really rich and powerful. Not only were they undefeatable, there were also some who were almost undefeatable. Suyu was looking at one of the immortals who was undefeatable. He must have noticed that Suyu was looking at the immortals. He said coldly through the air, "Kid, tomorrow, the teleportation will be activated. I wonder if you can continue pretending tomorrow." Suyu smiled. "I'll know you, the immortal king of Tianyu. I've seen your little fairy once. I was very proud. Later, she was destroyed. Xia Huyo said that she was killed to protect him. What nonsense. One remember that I was the one who destroyed her." The immortal king of Tianyu had a cold look in his eyes. His tone was really not much different from that annoying fellow, Suyu. He couldn't be bothered to say anything more to this impostor. After killing true Suyu, someone would naturally take care of this fellow. At this moment, the white jade gate began to tremble slightly, as if it was about to be officially closed. At this moment, Suyu also cast his gaze onto the floating heaven hunting roll. Heaven hunting roll. It was different from the sub-roll. Suyu could see the difference at a glance. There was a Tao manifestation roll, which was rather strange. There wasn't one before. Wasn't the Tao manifestation roll released by the Heavenly Treasures Hall? There was also some news on the heaven hunting roll. Fortunately, he had destroyed those sub-rankings before he came out. Otherwise, he would have to be careful of being located. It was not a small matter for the Starry Mansion's sub-rankings to appear outside. As the white jade gate trembled slightly, a line of words suddenly appeared on the heaven hunting roll. Su Yu has entered and killed Shuehua. That was the second elder of the heaven hunting pavilion. He had been persistently sending news to the outside world. At this moment, as the starry mansion was about to close, the mansion trembled slightly and the news was actually sent out. When this line of words was sent out, dozens of invincible experts looked at Su Yu. Their eyes were cold. This time, it was confirmed. What audacity! Who was this guy? He actually dared to impersonate Su Yu in front of so many invincible experts and fool them. On the human side, the great Xia King and the other side. They had still been discovered. This time, the news was completely confirmed. In the heaven hunting pavilion, the scholar floated in the air of the great hall and said softly, "This seems to be a message from our pavilion's law-enforcing elder." It was transmitted through the heaven hunting mask. It's not quite the same as the other news. This was also telling everyone that the credibility of the news was still very high. There was no need for the sky hunting pavilion's law-enforcing elder to pass on any false news. On the demon side, several demon kings roared furiously, "Kill Su Yu. Whoever dares to stop us, kill them. The demon race will not rest until Su Yu is dead." They were either from the Bloodfire demon race or supporters of the Bloodfire. Demon King. Bloodfire had actually died at Su Yu's hands. An invincible hesitated and said, "Bloodfire will be killed by Su Yu?" It's hard to say. Previously, the heaven and earth fluctuated and so many eternally fallen. I don't know what happened. Perhaps he was heavily injured and took the opportunity to be killed by Su Yu. At this moment, in front of Su Yu, these people began to discuss Su Yu. No one took this Su Yu seriously. The news had already spread, so why were they still pretending? An immortal expert looked coldly at the ancient city. He said in a low voice, "Xing Hong is guarding the city. Su Yu is not in the city right now. He has killed countless experts. Now that he has come out, I think that all of you should not make an enemy out of the 10,000 races just for Su Yu, right?" Xing Hong did not say anything. On the side of the demon race, a demon king coldly said, "Su Yu must die." All the experts were shouting, but Su Yu himself laughed, "Isn't Su Yu here? Everyone, did you guys get something wrong? Is the news from the heaven hunting pavilion true? What a joke. Someone impersonated me to kill someone in the Starry Palace, or simply lied to me. Just a casual sentence, and you believe it? Yellow-mouthed brat." Someone sneered and couldn't be bothered with him. Su Yu had a helpless look on his face. Humans, no one would believe the truth. "Look, I've already said it, I'm Su Yu, no one believes me." PM also very helpless. Su Yu shrugged his shoulders. He then shouted towards the sky hunting pavilion's treasure hall in the sky, "Pavilion head senior, I've heard from a few lords that your sky hunting pavilion seems to be a force under King Wan, and King Wan is an ancient human. One wonder if Pavilion head senior is a human. If you are, will you help the human race? Oh right, I've heard that our many divine languages department might be King Wen's inheritance. If I think about it, we're from the same family as the sky hunting pavilion. Pavilion head senior will help me, right?" You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 2766, Chapter 2766, Chapter 587 Mansion Sealed. Return via teleportation 5. Chapter 2766, Chapter 587 Mansion Sealed. Return via teleportation 5. In the heaven hunting pavilion's main hall. The scholar glanced at Su Yu and slightly frowned. After a long while, he calmly said, "I am not a human. Lord King Wen did not pass down many divine literature department. He did not say anything else, nor did he say that he had nothing to do with King Wen. Even now, he did not dare to say these words lightly. Heard that the pavilion master is an ancient marquis. Suyu smiled and said, his strength should be extremely strong. I don't know if he can beat Tiangu to death. If the pavilion master beats Tiangu to death, there are some things that we can forget about. How about that? What do you mean? The scholar was somewhat surprised and looked at Suyu. Who exactly was this fake Suyu? He knew quite a lot of things. He was really bold. For a moment, he even wondered if he had made a mistake. This was Suyu. Suyu really did not enter. Suyu smiled. There's nothing to explain. I just want to say that Senior Pavilion Master has made a mess of the Heaven Hunting Pavilion. It seems that he did not stand on the side of the human race even after the 9 title changes. If he stands on my side this time, I won't bother about the past. The scholar chuckled. I was conferred the title of the ancient human emperor to serve the ancient parliament. I'm not a slave. Regardless of whether you're the real Suyu or not, you have to understand this principle. I'm the heaven overseeing marquis, not a slave of one person. Understood. You want to go against me, right? That's not it. The scholar did not care whether he was real or not. He said softly, the Heaven Hunting Pavilion does not interfere in these matters. City Lord Su, don't misunderstand. Hong Meng and I can be considered old friends. We won't side with anyone, and we won't deliberately target you. That would be the best. Suyu laughed. He did not say anything more. There was no need to say anything more. If everyone thinks that I am fake, then I will be fake. At this moment, he also looked at White Jade Gate. The trembling of White Jade Gate was gradually coming to an end. Suyu was thinking, if I were to shout Mountain Tai from outside, would old Zhou have any reaction? If there was, that would be interesting. Forget it. It was too dangerous if he didn't try now. If old Zhou could really sense it and kill his way out, everyone present would probably cry, and he himself would also cry. Waves rolled up. The tide gradually calmed down. Everyone knew that it was going to be sealed. Could those people still be teleported out? At this moment, the void rippled as if space was shaking. At this moment, someone heaved a sigh of relief and said with a smile, they can still be teleported out. I can feel the space rippling. If nothing unexpected happens, a teleportation portal should appear inside now. Once everyone inside has entered, we can teleport out when the time is up. One wonder who is still alive. There are still many humans alive. Ha, humans, of course there are many humans alive. Suyu has entered, but he can kill humans. This guy is really bold and vicious. Most of the people on the lower levels were killed by him. In the distance, Suyu was tired. He said again, don't slander me. First, he too killed him. You all know about the news from he too. Second, I'm here, what does it have to do with me? No one paid attention to him. Shut up. Who would be willing to pay attention to you? On the human side, the invincible ones were all a little nervous. The great Xia King and his group were all experts. The few unrivaled experts of the human race who were ranked near the top had all rushed over except for the great Qin King and the great Zhou King. However, they were still nervous. If the human race had survived this time, it would definitely be troublesome. On the immortal side, some people were getting restless. One of the unrivaled experts from the other race said in a deep voice, don't accidentally injure our experts. Our race hasn't provoked anyone. They were worried that the immortal race would kill indiscriminately later. On the 5 elements race's side, Invincible said in a deep voice, let's wait until everyone has been teleported out. There are still people from our race among them. Same for our race. Immortal race, if you want to kill, wait until everyone has separated. Don't provoke us. The 5 elements race, the ancient Ho race, the Iron Eater race, including the celestial race and the demon race, there were still people alive. It was not okay to kill indiscriminately. If your immortal race was dead, that was also your immortal race's business. On the immortal race's side, the invincible ones did not respond. Instead, they transmitted their voices and said something. Dao King, Universe Immortal King, Xian King. What do you guys say? These people were all experts at the later stage of eternity. Of course, the Dao King was somewhat crippled. 2 of his 3 bodies were destroyed. The immortal race had suffered heavy losses this time. Now that the experts of their race were about to be teleported out, these people were unwilling to accept the fact that their race had taken advantage of them. King Xian was also the ancestor of Xian Wuji. At this moment, this expert was sitting cross-legged in the air. He said indifferently, "There's no rush. There are quite a few experts from the human race. Let's kill Suyu first and talk about the rest. Let's find Suyu first. Don't give him the chance to fish in troubled waters. Kill Suyu before we discuss the matter of the human race. If there are too many humans alive, think of a way to kill some." Suyu was the first. The others could be temporarily released. As they were speaking, the fluctuations in the void became more and more intense. Some of the previously broken passageways appeared once again in the void. The stars above the sea of stars were also much brighter. This meant that it was daybreak. It was time to teleport. In the next moment, everyone felt a powerful spatial fluctuation coming over. They're out. How many people are still alive? A group of invincible experts were watching. Gradually, human figures appeared in the air. Some of them had already seen some of them. An expert exclaimed in surprise, "Those are from our race. There are still people from the celestial race. There are quite a few of them. There are indeed a lot of humans. Those seem to be from the human race." At this moment, the auras of the great Xia King and the others burst out one by one. They guarded the East Passage entrance with cold and stern eyes. However, there were also some experts nearby who were vaguely threatening them. Someone said coldly, "Don't panic. Let's see how many people there are first, then, find Suyu. Human, don't act recklessly. Otherwise, if we get into trouble, don't blame us for killing indiscriminately." The experts of the 5 elements race also wanted to get close, but there were experts who were threatening them. They shouted, "If each race has nothing to do with Suyu, they can naturally leave safely. Don't make a mistake." In the sky above the ancient city, Suyu was very tired. "What is it? How many people have I offended? Each and every one of them, regardless of whether they are immortals or not, are looking for me. But am I not right behind you? What the hell?" At this moment, he did not say anything. He looked towards those passageways. Not to mention, there were even more survivors than he had expected. There were not as few as he had imagined. Suyu counted. There were around 500 passageways opened in all directions. So many. Suyu was surprised. There were quite a number of humans. Around 300. There were also quite a number of celestials. More than 100. Did this mean that the other races had also lived close to 100? F***ck. He had missed so many. This starry sky mansion was indeed mysterious. He too had swept it twice, but they still could not clear it out. At this moment, there was a powerful invincible being in the void. He shouted, "All those who have been teleported out, don't move. Stay where you are, or you will be killed without mercy." His roar resounded throughout the world. "All of you, stay where you are." On the east side, the human experts who had been stopped all had solemn expressions. The human race really had a lot of lives, and now they were in trouble. These people wanted to find Suyu, but now that they had found Suyu, did the human race not care? The great Xia King and the others were all extremely nervous. They still had to wait for the great Qin King to make a decision. The human race had sent many high-level experts this time because they were ready to start a war. Accompanied by explosive shouts, figures completely appeared in all directions. The great Qin king also came out. He still maintained his shadow-like appearance. Looking around, he was also shocked. So many people had come. Looking at the human side and seeing the great Xia king and the others, he was a little surprised. Quite a few people had also come. He roughly understood that they had been sent by old Zhou. At this moment, someone shouted, "Madhua Na, my clan's Lord Shuehua, was he killed by Su Yu?" The moment these words were said, everyone looked in one direction. It was Madhua Na. Madhua Na was slightly dizzy. When he heard the shout, he was silent for a moment before nodding. He killed him. Bastard! A demon king was furious. Divine light erupted from his eyes. Everyone is not allowed to leave. Find Su Yu. Otherwise, everyone will die. This was especially so on the human side. This demon king was just short of killing his way over. There were too many survivors there. In the sky above the ancient city, Su Yu dusted off his clothes. He could not find himself, so the humans were venting their anger. It looked like he still had to do it. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 2767, Chapter 2767, Chapter 588 Killing the Invincible, Suppressing the Heavens. Chill Monthly L. Chapter 2767, Chapter 588 Killing the Invincible, Suppressing the Heavens. Chill Monthly L. Taking a beating passively was not Su Yu's style. Rather than being passive, it was better to take the initiative to attack. At this moment, Su Yu flew into the air and shouted to the people below, "Lord Xinghong, please leave the city first assistant." On the other side, there was a lot of commotion. However, there were still people paying attention to this side. At this moment, everyone was very surprised. As for Su Yu, he shouted loudly, "I, Su Yu, am right here. What exactly do you want to do? If you want to kill me, then come and kill me." In the city, Xinghong flew up and landed beside Su Yu. Su Yu shouted, "Do you see that? Master Xinghong has already left the city and is right beside me. How can I be fake? Idiot. Anxious." Some invincible people sneered in their hearts. He was anxious. This impostor, he was getting anxious. Su Yu, you are Su Yu. Did the Su Yu inside appear out of thin air? Su Yu shouted, "If you don't believe me, you can come and investigate me. Come. I, Su Yu, will not change my name or surname. I am Su Yu. Do you have the nerve to attack these innocent people? Do you have to investigate them one by one? Aren't you afraid of offending the various clans? I saw it. The Five Elements clan, the Fated clan, the God clan, the Iron Eater clan, the Sky Devouring clan, and the Space Beast clan are all here. Do you really have to offend so many great clans?" The group of invincible experts looked at him silently. Some of them were invincible, and some of them even seemed to be mocking him. "You're anxious. So anxious. Are you really Su Yu?" At this moment, Xinghong also said coldly, "He's Su Yu. Su Yu didn't go to the Starry Mansion at all." Damn it, even the guards were anxious. This time, everyone was certain. No, they were already certain that Su Yu was among them. At this moment, they were only more certain. As for that fake Su Yu, hee, you are nothing. Does anyone care about you? Su Yu was anxious. He quickly rose into the sky and flew toward the sky above the sea of stars. There are people from our sacred city's lineage among them. We absolutely won't allow anyone to investigate our lineage. Otherwise, we will start a war. Start a war. Xinghong followed. At this moment, he already understood Su Yu's thoughts. It was very difficult to launch a sneak attack. No sneak attack. Let's come openly. Sure enough, a moment later, 4 invincible figures rushed over. 1 from the celestial race, 2 from the celestial race, 1 from the demon race, and 4 invincible figures. One of them was the universe immortal king, an eternal high-level warrior. At this moment, the universe immortal king said coldly, "Xinghong, you won't attack for no reason, right? You still have to consider a bit to avoid irreparable consequences." Su Yu said angrily, "Do you dare to touch me? Touch me? I am the master of the 36 sacred cities, and you are provoking the sacred cities. Do you really think you are strong? Believe it or not, I, the 36 guards, will attack at the same time and kill all of you. I will exterminate your entire race." Tian Yu laughed and said softly, "Little guy, compared to Su Yu, you're still a little inexperienced. At the very least, Su Yu wouldn't say such childish words." He laughed. Not only him, the 3 invincible guardians beside him also laughed. The 36 guardians attacked at the same time. How would they attack? Go against the rules and directly charge out? Or what? Was he going to abandon the ancient city and not guard the passageway? And then, was he going to be struck to death by the lightning tribulation? The unrivaled experts all laughed. This little fellow didn't say much earlier and didn't encounter any trouble, on the contrary, he was extremely calm. If he were to really encounter trouble, he wouldn't be able to remain calm at all. From this point of view, he was inferior to Su Yu. As expected, a fake was a fake, no matter how real his disguise was, he was still a fake. His bearing and response were inferior to the real Su Yu. Sigh, after all, there was something missing. Otherwise, everyone would be Su Yu. At this moment, the few of them did not think too much. This Su Yu in front of them, wasn't he confident that he was a fake? They should not be surprised. Instead, they should be calm. Su Yu was angry, he said angrily, "You're looking for me. I'm here. If you want to kill me, I'm right here. I'm right under your noses. If you don't kill me, why are you still talking nonsense? What are you trying to do? Investigate that. Su Yu, am responsible for everything. Why must you implicate others?" In the distance, Invincible said coldly, "Don't waste time with irrelevant people. Tianyu, you guys, take care of Xinghong. I also hope that Xinghong doesn't do anything out of line. Taking the initiative to leave the city and kill is not in line with the rules of the city guards. Do you have to make it difficult for everyone?" He couldn't be bothered with this fake Su Yu. Wasting time with an unrelated person, was he too full of himself? He knew what this fake Su Yu was thinking. Now, he was trying to lure everyone's attention away. It would be best if he attacked Xinghong and the others. Once the battle started, the real Su Yu would find an opportunity to run back to the ancient city. He was thinking too simply. Would Invincible go to Xinghong and the others to start a war because of an insignificant person like you? What a joke. The 4 Invincible would surround Xinghong and not give him a chance to intervene. In front of the Starry Mansion, many people were attracted by Su Yu. Some people who came out of the Starry Mansion also saw Su Yu when they went in, but they didn't pay too much attention to it. It was fake. They had seen the real one, and it was inside the Starry Mansion. At this moment, the second elder of the Heaven Hunting Pavilion, he said faintly, "My Heaven Hunting Pavilion only cares about intelligence. Let me tell you what I saw. I met Su Yu on the 8th floor. Su Yu killed a Dao brother from the Heavenly Treasures Pavilion. After that, he killed the heavily injured Blood Fire Devil King in the Blood Cavalry General's manner. I can guarantee that everything I saw and said is the truth." At this moment, the crowd did not speak, and the Sky Hunting Pavilion, the scholar slightly frowned, "Tell me, the Minister of the Sky.